presents Loretta Young, Dan O'Herlihy, Raymond Burr, and tonight's special guest, Mr. Thomas F. O'Neill. From Hollywood, the Mutual Network, in cooperation with Family Theater, presents Hound of Heaven, starring Dan O'Herlihy and Raymond Burr. And now, here's your hostess, Miss Loretta Young.
Thank you, Tony Lafrano. Family Theater's only purpose is to bring to everyone's attention a practice that must become an important part of our lives if we are to win peace for ourselves, peace for our families, and peace for the world. Family Theater urges you to pray. Pray together as a family.
And now to our transcribed drama, Hound of Heaven, starring Dan O'Herlihy as Francis Thompson and Raymond Burr as the narrator.
I fled him down the nights.
Yes, you fled him. You eluded him.
I fled him down the nights and down the days.
Yes, you twisted, turned, tried to escape.
From those strong feet that followed after.
But did you ever really escape him? His name was Francis Thompson. And of all the lonely and obscure men who lived in London that year of 1887, none had made his bed in hell more surely than he. For him, each night was a lying down in hunger and fear. Each morning, a slow awakening to pain.
Here, you there, get up. Come on, get up, I say.
Yes.
You can't sleep here, you know that.
I know. I'm sorry, officer.
Come on, get along with you.
For Francis Thompson, waking upon the Thames embankment, each morning was a slow return to pain. A remembrance of dreams made hideous by fear, twisted by hunger. Dreams of delirium shot through with dying stars and the river's mist. Dreams that always had their ending somewhere at the broken edge of the world, with the nightstick prodding his chest. The agony of waking to another day. And then, as he would get to his feet, brushing the dirt and matted leaves from his coat, pulling it tight about him against the fog, London, too, it seemed, returned to life, with the first cab in the street, clopping by. The first mackerel peddler crying his wares, with the first farmer's cart piled high with Surrey hay, and the whistling of the Edinburgh Express coming down from the northern hills. As he awoke, London woke with him, and they faced each other at the beginning of the day. The man of bone and flesh against the city of stone. The man with the tired heart driving his broken knuckles against the stone which never yielded. Each day began as another. A halfpenny for a mug of tea. Tuppence for a stale loaf of bread. A furtive search for an old rag, a wadded newspaper to line his shoes. And then the long tramp in search for work.
Pardon, sir, would there be a place for me somewhere?
Sorry, no work today.
Would you be needing a man?
Sorry, we have all the help we need.
Unemployment, Francis. Unemployment. It's the scourge that can lash a man's spirit. It's a cross. A contradiction of economics that hangs heavily upon the shoulders of people like you, Francis. So you've got to keep walking, keep searching. Maybe somewhere you'll find work. You can't stop to rest. Now, turn down this street. Now there.
Sorry, no work for you.
Try the greengrocer across the street.
Sorry, no work for you.
Perhaps the wine shop. Try that.
I'm sorry, no work for you.
The warehouse. The warehouse.
Sorry, no work for you.
Sorry, no work for you. Yes, Francis, the day is over. The long tramping from door to door. Huddle there in the darkened doorway and take your rest. There will be no bread for your hunger tonight, no roof above your head. And there will be no drug to soothe the madness in your throat and brain. Lie in the doorway and take your rest. For tomorrow's another day, and if you live, there'll be more miles to walk. Death comes slowly to the afflicted, so you cannot hope for much tonight.
What was that?
A drum, perhaps. It could be the failing beat of your heart.
No, it's not that. I hear it often. It stops. It begins again.
Your imagination?
No, it sounds like footsteps, as though someone were following me.
Try to rest.
No matter where I go, I hear them. They follow me always.
It's the drug, Francis. Try to get through this night and your craving for it. Perhaps tomorrow you'll find work.
It's not the drug, or my imagination. They are footsteps, and they follow me wherever I go. I'm like a man with the hounds crying after him, a hunted thing in a swamp, and I hear these footsteps night and day. I hear them. There. Hear them?
You hear a drum. You hear your heartbeat. Now wait. It's footsteps, all right. Someone approaching the doorway.
Hello there. You there, you all right?
All right.
Why, laddie, you shouldn't be lying here in the doorway. You'll catch your death of cold. Here, let me help you.
All right, I say.
Are you? I tell you, laddie, this is a bad night for a man's body and soul.
What right have you to talk about bodies and souls?
Walk the right of one human being to another, laddie.
Look, my friend, you mean well, and for that I thank you, but I'm sick, I'm tired, and I'm hungry.
Lad, I know you're sick. I know you're alone. That's why I'd like to help you.
Oh, what do you mean? Help?
I want you to come home with me. My name's McMasters. I'm a cobbler by trade, and I can put you to work if you want a job.
Work?
You'll owe me nothing, lad. Nothing at all.
Why should you do this for me?
Why shouldn't I, lad? If the situation were reversed, it's you who'd be reaching out your hand to me. This way, it's my good fortune. Here, come along now, lad. It's a warm bed for you tonight, and a good day's work in the morning. Hello, Francis. How goes the work?
Not so well, Mr. McMasters. I'm afraid I don't think I was cut out for a cobbler.
Oh, you're just learning, lad. It's only 3 weeks you've been here. Tell me, laddie, I didn't want to pry or anything, but what's your trade or profession?
Well, I have none. If I did, I suppose you'd call it journalism.
Oh, you're right then.
Yes, Mr. McMasters.
What do you write, Francis?
Usual thing, I suppose, reviews, essays, some poetry. The sort of things that never sell.
Here, lad, try some of this tobacco. It's an Irish mixture.
Thanks.
Light? Where do you go to school, Francis?
Bushaw. It's about 4 miles from Durham.
And you were studying...
I wanted to enter the priesthood. I failed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Strange, when you come to think of it. I'm 28, you know. You'd think that in 28 years a man would be able to win. Well, to win one victory. You'd think that, but it isn't true. After I was rejected for the priesthood, my father sent me to Manchester to study medicine. 6 years. Examinations every 2 years. I failed all of them. Defeat for me was like a web. I seemed to be caught into it, woven into its pattern. And after a while, I became afraid to try anything at all for fear I'd fail at it. That's why I came to London.
Did you break the pattern?
No. To lose myself, to crawl into the darkest corner of the city and hide.
Laddie. And how long have you?
2 years come November.
2 years on the streets and doorways? How could you live? How?
I don't know. Maybe it was because I prayed. I'd say that, only Well, sometimes there was even no belief in my prayers. I felt as if I were not being heard. You see, living the way I did in hunger, a disordered nervous condition, loneliness, you can't think clearly sometimes. You doubt your own mind's power to think, and then you can't pray right. Only I went on praying, and I'm still alive, that's all I know.
And God willing, you'll stay alive, Francis. For you've a roof over your head now and a job. And maybe time to write. Maybe time to write something great and good.
It would be a pleasant thing to be able to say that Francis Thompson settled down to an ordered life and turned out a great work of literature, that he rewarded his benefactor in some generous way. But the truth is quite different. Thompson was useless around the cobbler shop. Oh, he was willing, but he was clumsy and inefficient. He scribbled verses when he should have been working, and his few earnings were spent to satisfy the craving for opium which constantly tortured him. He spent 3 months with McMasters, and then one day he disappeared. McMasters waited for him to return that night. He waited many nights as the autumn months passed into winter, but Francis Thompson never came back. Of the many McMasters had befriended and given jobs, Thompson alone proved a disappointment. He was my only failure, McMasters wrote. He was my only failure.
Here, you. Where do you think you're going?
Huh?
Hey, now stay away from that church. There's other places.
I wasn't going in.
All drunk and dirty and... now going to crawl into that church where it's warm, eh? Thought no one would see you. Now, go on, get on your way.
The church? Yes.
Now, get along, I say.
Yes, that's where I can go.
Oh, here, you. You come along with me. I'll take you to the place... Here, where are you going? Come on back.
Lord, have mercy upon us.
Lord, have mercy upon me.
Christ, have mercy upon us.
Christ, have mercy upon me.
The Lord have mercy upon you, Francis Thompson.
Have mercy.
Upon your weakness and failures.
Have mercy.
And through you on all the poor and broken who walk in the city streets.
Help us all, O God.
From the city itself, from the cruelty of stone and the horror of the pavement.
Defend me, O God.
From the almshouse and prison. From the makeshift bed in the doorway.
Defend me, O God.
From the hunger in the day and wakefulness at night. From the torn coat and the broken shoes. From the stares of pity and the stares of contempt.
Deliver me, O God.
From the man whose hand is against us. From his anger and his clenched fist. From the sudden blow against the mouth.
Deliver me, O God.
And give us this day our daily bread.
Give me this day my daily bread.
But more than bread alone, O God, give us the strength to earn our bread.
Hear me, O God.
Christ, have mercy on us.
Christ, have mercy on me.
Time to go, Francis. The church is empty. The sexton is putting out the candles one by one.
I can't go. If I leave, I'll forget how to pray.
You must.
Where?
Somewhere. A doorway, perhaps. There's that grain warehouse in Cock Lane, if you could force a window.
No, the rats.
There's always the embankment.
It's snowing.
Then what?
I don't know. Perhaps this is the end of all my running. Death.
Death comes slowly to the afflicted.
But not to me. A loaf of bread, a mug of coffee, and 4 days? The dizzy spells, fever, cough. No, it can't be far off now, even to me.
Do you want to die?
Do I want to live this way?
Do you not know, Francis, that while you live, your body is the temple of God?
God doesn't live in me. God is perfection and health and beauty. Can God live in a broken body and a mind that doubts its own reason? No. I lost God sometime after I left the cobbler's shop. I lost him somewhere in the alleys of Eastcheap.
But has God lost you, Francis?
Huh?
Has he lost you?
If I deny him, how can he find me?
Listen. Do you hear that?
The footsteps?
The footsteps of the Hound. Do you remember? Francis?
Footsteps? Yes. They always follow me. But there's something inside me, oh God forgive me, some fear, some dread that keeps me running from those footsteps.
Hello.
Oh.
What's wrong? What you running for?
It's nothing.
Well, find it. Please, somebody help me. Help me, please. There, it's all right.
What happened?
You've been quite sick.
Sick?
Don't you remember?
How long have I been?
3 days. Don't you remember? You were running along the street.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember now. And you were the girl...
I brought you here to this boarding house.
I'm afraid I've put you to a lot of trouble. I think I'd better
but
go.
You can't. You're sick. The doctor said you got to rest and eat. He says you was down from starvation.
You called a doctor?
I had to.
Well, that cost money. I've got nothing...
Don't say it.
What's your name?
Anne.
Who are you? I mean, what sort of work do you do?
Oh, nothing very much. Nothing important.
Well, I didn't mean to pry. I just wondered. Anne?
Yes?
Maybe you haven't done anything important, as you say. I don't know who you are, what you are, but... I've been wandering across a plain of fever and delirium. 3 days, you tell me? Dreams came up like clouds over those 3 days. But in the end, it seemed that I heard footsteps behind me. They were after me, and I ran and ran. And far on the edge of a plain, I saw a cross standing, and I thought if I can reach that cross, I'll be safe. So I ran toward it, only when I got there, it wasn't a cross. It was you. Do you understand?
You mean... you don't care what I am?
No, I only wonder what I can ever do for you in return.
And so, once again, through the kindness of a stranger, this time an outcast much like himself, the healing of Francis Thompson began. To him, this girl gave of the little she had, food, clothing, encouragement, but more than that, an ease from loneliness. To her, he gave things unknown in her life, tenderness and reverence and respect. And then at last, Francis Thompson began to write.
The Passion of Mary, a poem. Paganism, old and new, an essay. 2 things finished, actually finished. It's hard to believe that I had the power, the sheer mental power to work them through.
Francis Thompson's work was good, and Wilfred Mennell, editor of the magazine Merry England, published the pieces, sought out the author, and extended to him the hand which would lift him from obscurity. But Francis Thompson, about to reach for the hand, suddenly withdrew himself. For what about Anne?
Anne!
Yes, Francis?
Anne, I sold them to Mr. Mennell. Oh. And Anne, he's interested in me. He wants me to come and live with him to do my work at his home. I mean, he wants us.
Us?
Yes. You see, I told him we were to be married, and that I'd come only if you were with me.
Oh, no.
I want you to marry me, and...
I'm not worthy of you, Francis. You know that. You're great and good. I might only hurt you. I might keep you from... It's been good what we had together, Francis. But you'll have to go on alone now. You'll have to go on alone.
So the girl who had lifted him from the streets vanished from his life. All that day he searched for her, all the next and the next, but she had disappeared. He turned away from the extended hand of Mennell in his search for her, and the days passed into weeks, weeks into a month, then 2 months as he tramped the mighty labyrinths of London. But he never found her. Among the millions of faces he looked into, none was hers. And then at last, one day, sitting on a bench in Covent Garden, barren from the grief that had drained him, he heard the familiar sound of footsteps. Frances?
Yes?
She's gone. You'll never find her again.
I know.
And now there's nothing left. Nothing but the footsteps. Do you hear them?
I hear them.
Think back, Frances, think back. Isn't it strange how each time you've cried, each time the horror of life has risen up to crush you, you've heard the footsteps?
Yes. Each time I've lost the sense of God, I've heard them.
Only in those times...
I begin to hear them faintly, when my faith grew weaker, and my prayers. And then at last, when I had lost the sense of God, they beat like thunder in my ears.
As they are beating now?
Yes.
And as they beat the night Anne came to you?
Yes.
And the night McMasters found you?
Yes, yes. What are you driving at?
Don't you know? Think, Francis. Think. Is it possible you could touch God by the hand and not know it?
Hound of heaven, the footsteps of God in Charing Cross. No matter where I fled, they followed. Down the nights and days, the twisted lanes and passageways of all London, down the years and months and days, they followed. God's love pressing in on me when I denied him. God's love hounding me through the swamps of despair. God who wouldn't let me go even though I had denied him. God looking at me out of her eyes and touching me with her hands. Yes, I know now. I know. These footsteps...
Then search out your soul, Francis, and put what you find into words. All the hunger and pain and loneliness of these tortured years. Write it, Francis.
I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind. And in the mist of tears I hid from him.
Write it for all to read, Francis, for the poor, the beaten, the hungry, the tempted, the weak, for those like you all over the world.
I hid from him, from those strong feet that followed after, but with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, they beat and a voice beat more instant than the feet. All things betray thee who betrayest me.
Put into words the streets and the sleepless nights, the cold sweats and the agony of thought. Put McMasters into them, and Anne, and put the losing of God into words, the awful loneliness.
For though I knew his love who followed, yet was I sore adread, lest having him I might have naught beside.
And Francis, put into words the joy that came when God had found you once again.
And past those noised feet a voice comes yet more fleet. Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest.
Yes, Francis, put all this into words that others may draw courage from them and find their way to peace. For it is you, Francis Thompson, who went down to make a bed in hell, but found God's love following you, even there.
Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest.
And so Francis Thompson, who today ranks among the great poets, went on to build a new life for himself, aided by the kindness of the Mennel family, went on to complete The Hound of Heaven, and give the world one of the most inspiring poems of all literature, the story of God's love and mercy.
This is Loretta Young again. Hound of Heaven marks a very special occasion. Special because with this program, Family Theater celebrates its 400th broadcast over the Mutual Network. It was my privilege to appear on the very first Family Theater program. It was broadcast on February the 13th, 1947. And since that first broadcast, the great continuous generosity of the Mutual Network has made this program possible week after week and year after year. So Family Theater has been on the air for a long time because the men behind Mutual are convinced of the efficacy of Family Theater's dedicated program, a program devoted to the betterment of family life through the inspiration and practice of family prayer. More than 300 stars of Hollywood and New York have appeared time after time on Family Theater, giving their talents to prove that they, too, believe in the efficacy of prayer. Now, on behalf of all these stars and players, I want to express appreciation to our special guest, Mr. Thomas F. O'Neill, Chairman of the Board of the Mutual Broadcasting System. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill, for making it possible for Family Theater to be heard every week over the Mutual Network. Thank you, and all of your associates, for this repeated opportunity to tell millions of listeners week after week the simple truth. The family that prays together stays together.
Thank you, Loretta. In a way, we in the entertainment world feel a real kinship to Family Theater. We like to think of ourselves as members of this family, too, and today it is a kind of special family celebration. This has been Family Theater's 400th broadcast, and we of Mutual want to thank Family Theater and all the stars who, for the past 7.5 years, have helped to make it a program that we can be proud to present to our listeners. Anyone who has been a steady listener to Family Theater can vouch for the high, wholesome quality of its entertainment. And any American who has the well-being of his country at heart must agree that the basis of our nation's strength lies in the strength and unity of the family, and that the family that prays together stays together.
More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of. From Hollywood, Family Theater has brought you Hound of Heaven, starring Dan O'Herlihy and Raymond Burr. Loretta Young was your hostess, and Mr. Thomas F. O'Neill, chairman of the board of the Mutual Broadcasting System, was our special guest. Others in our cast were Gene Bates, Ben Wright, and Richard Peel. The script was written by Frederick Lipp and was directed and transcribed for Family Theater by John T. Kelly, with music composed and conducted by Harry Zimmerman. This series of Family Theater broadcasts is made possible by the thousands of you who feel the need for this type of program, by the Mutual Network, which has responded to this need, and by the hundreds of stars of stage, screen, and radio who give so unselfishly of their time and talent to appear on our Family Theater stage. To them and to you, our humble thanks. This is Tony Lofrano expressing the wish of Family Theater that the blessing of God may be upon you and your home, and inviting you to be with us next week when Family Theater will present The Cliff, starring John Lunn. Debbie Reynolds will be your hostess. Join us, won't you? Family Theater is broadcast throughout the world and originates in the Hollywood studios of the world's largest network. This is Mutual, the radio network for all America.
The Jack Benny Program, transcribed and presented by Lucky Strike.
Lucky's taste better.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Better get a carton, better get a carton, better get a carton today.
Hello, friends. This is Don Wilson. Lucky's do taste better, cleaner, fresher, and smoother. And you know, a nationwide survey in 80 leading colleges based on actual student interviews reveals that more smokers in these colleges prefer Lucky's than any other cigarette. By a wide margin, too. What's more, Lucky Strike gained far more smokers in these colleges than the nation's two other principal brands combined. And why? Lucky's better taste. Yes, sir. Better taste is the number one reason the students gave for smoking Lucky's. Of course, when it comes to real smoking enjoyment, nothing beats better taste. And Lucky Strike is the cigarette that gives you better taste. So get the cleaner, fresher, smoother taste you want in your cigarette. Next pack you buy, make it Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Better get a carton, better get a carton, better get a carton today.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Rochester, Dennis Day, Bob Crosby, and yours truly, Don Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, immediately after this program, Jack Benny does his television show. Meanwhile, let's go back to last Thursday and show you how our gang spent Thanksgiving. Our scene opens in Jack's home in Beverly Hills.
Night and day, I am the one. Thanksgiving comes and goes, but I'm never done.
Rochester.
I'm working all the time. I'm nothing but a one-man assembly line. Night and day.
Mr. Lanza.
Day and night.
Mario, what's come over you? You've been singing all day today.
Well, I'm happy, boss. Here it is Thanksgiving, and I could have been born a turkey.
Oh. You wouldn't have liked that, huh?
No, I couldn't stand being in an oven undressed and people looking in at me every few minutes.
I know. Say, Rochester, I'm going to Miss Livingston's house for a Thanksgiving party, so will you help me get dressed? I'm going formal.
Okay, but if I were you, I'd change my mind about wearing that old tuxedo.
Why, what'd you do to it?
Oh, it's nothing I did, boss. But the last time I went to get it, the closet was full of moths.
Moths? Oh, my goodness. Were they eating my tuxedo?
Eating it? They didn't even look up when I came
Well, do you think the holes will show?
I don't know, but if the wind is blowing, face it, boss. Face it.
Well, I don't care. I'm still going to wear them.
Hello, Jack.
Oh, hello, Mary.
The whole gang is here. When are you coming over?
Pretty soon. And, Mary, I got a surprise for you. I'm going to dress formal.
Formal? But, Jack, that tuxedo of yours is so old it's green.
Mary, my tuxedo isn't green.
Okay, but stay away from the salad bowl. You may get stabbed with a fork.
Oh, stop, will you?
Jack, the reason I called you is, well, I've been so busy getting the dinner ready for you and the gang, I forgot to get some flowers. So I thought maybe you'd stop over at the florist and bring me some.
Okay, Mary. I'll bring you half a dozen roses.
Only a half dozen? But, Jack, they don't cost so much.
Well, no, the roses alone don't, Mary, but you're going to the expense of the entire dinner. Why should you spend any more? You know, after all, you're doing enough.
Jack, I meant for you to buy the roses.
Oh. Well, Mary, you didn't have to beat around the bush. Why didn't you come right out and say so? Of course I'll bring them. Goodbye. I'll get it, Rochester. When you say I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. When you ask me to...
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Well, hello, Mr. Kitzel. Mr. Kitzel, what brings you here?
I was passing by and I stopped to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's nice of you. Come on in.
Thank you. Wait till I tie this leash.
Oh, you got your dog with you?
No, my turkey. I'm taking it out for a walk.
Mr. Kitzel, you're taking a turkey for a walk?
A long walk.
Why?
By the time we get home, she'll be so glad to lay down, the rest will be easy.
Oh, well, tell me, Mr. Kitzel, are you going to have much company at your Thanksgiving dinner?
My wife's relatives.
Oh, just your wife's relatives?
Just. Ooh. You should have so many listeners.
Gee. How many are going to be there?
My wife's mother and father, her sister Claudette, her 3 brothers, one of her aunts, 2 of her nephews, and a distant cousin from Wyoming.
Wyoming?
Wild Bill Shapiro.
Wild Bill Shapiro?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a cowboy?
No, a used car dealer.
Say, your wife really has a big family. Do they always come to your house for Thanksgiving dinner?
Unfortunately, yes. And this time they came early.
When did they come?
In 1947.
Mr. Kitzel, you're joking.
Well, I got to be going, Mr. Benny. Goodbye.
So long, Mr. Kitzel, and a happy Thanksgiving.
I'll force myself.
You'll make it. Goodbye. Imagine so many relatives. Oh, my goodness, look what time it is. Rochester, help me get dressed now. I'm late for Miss Livingston's party. Gee, I'll bet the whole gang is there already having a wonderful time.
Now, let's have some more entertainment. Bob, how about a song?
Yeah, come on, Bob.
Sure.
No, Mary, it's your turn to sing.
Not me.
I'll tell you what, Mary. Let's sing a number together.
Yeah, go ahead, kids. The Sportsman Quartet will join you.
So you met someone who set you back on your heels. Goody, goody. So you met someone and now you know how it feels. Goody, goody.
So you gave her your heart too?
Yeah, just as I gave mine to you.
And she broke it in little pieces.
I was a mess.
Now how do you do?
So you lie awake just singing the blues all night. Goody, goody. So you think that love's a barrel of dynamite. Hooray and hallelujah, you had it coming to ya.
Goody, goody for you.
Goody, goody for me.
And I hope you're satisfied, you rascal, you.
Every time you lie to Lucky, you're gonna say, goody, goody, 'cause the Lucky's made much better in every way. Goody, goody.
Goody, goody.
Lucky Strikes taste better, too. They're a smoother smoke, it's true. Take a look at that fine tobacco, cleaner through and through. Everybody knows a Lucky has no loose ends. Goody, goody, you can recommend a Lucky Strike to your friend. The Christmas rush is starting.
Hallelujah.
Buy Lucky's by the carton. Goody, goody for you. Goody, goody for me. Lucky Strike's a better tasting cigarette.
Everybody's gonna have a fine time tonight. Goody, goody. With a song and dance, the party has started right. Be happy and go lucky. Smoke Luckies from Kentucky. Goody, goody for you.
Goody, goody for you.
Yes, goody, goody for me.
Goody, goody for me. Lucky Strike's a better tasting cigarette.
That was really wonderful. Tom, it was a swell idea. You're bringing the whole band here to Mary's house.
Well, I thought it'd be kind of nice to have some music.
Bob, I don't mind your band being here, but your boys have a lot of nerve putting one of my best dishes on the piano for an ashtray.
What ashtrays? That's for tips.
Tips? What a gang.
Say, Mary, when do we eat?
Not till Jack gets here.
Well, Mary, I don't care for myself, but I wish you'd feed the boys in the band. They're starving.
Well, can't they hold out?
Well, I don't think so. Gee, I just passed them some crackers and Bagby ate my wristwatch.
No.
Yeah, he thought the strap was a long anchovy.
just about a few minutes.
I hope so. I've been here ever since 6:30 this morning.
6:30 this morning? Dennis, how come you got here so early?
Well, I got to come by bus, and I wanted to make sure I'd be here on time.
Well, Dennis, how far do you live from here?
3 miles.
Well, if you only live 3 miles away, why did you start out so early?
Who knew I'd take the right bus?
Well, then you did take the right bus.
It must have been. It got me to San Diego in time to catch the plane back here.
Wait a minute, Dennis. You took a bus to San Diego and then flew back here to Los Angeles? Why'd you do that?
Oh, the only way I know how to get to your house is from the airport.
Oh, fine. Don, you better take Dennis home tonight.
Yeah, sure, Mary. What time do you want to go, Dennis?
Oh, anytime, Don. Our plane doesn't leave for San Diego till midnight.
Dennis, do your mother and father celebrate Thanksgiving?
No.
I didn't think so.
Mary, when the food's all ready, let me know, and I'm going to help you serve it.
Well, thank you, Bob, but it won't be necessary. I've hired a butler for the day. I'll get it. I can't give you anything but love. Oh, hello, Jack. What took you so long?
I don't know, but it's about time. I'll tell you what took me so long, Mary. I had to stop for the flowers. Here you are, Mary.
Well, thank you.
Is everybody here?
Sure, they're in the living room. Let's go in. Jack, you did wear that old tuxedo, didn't you?
Oh, it's not so old. Hiya, fellas.
Oh, Jack.
Hello, Bob.
Hiya, Jack. Wow, say, that is original.
What?
Oh, a tuxedo made out of chlorophyll.
It is not made out of chlorophyll.
Well, it could use a little.
Never mind. It's a perfectly good suit. There's nothing wrong with it.
I've got one just like it.
You see?
I wear it in all the St. Patrick's Day parades.
Dennis, do me a favor. Don't be on my side. Now go sit down.
Thanks. I've been here ever since 6:30.
He thinks I'm going to ask him why. He's crazy. For $1 million, I'm not going to go through what happened 3 weeks ago.
Well, say, Jack, you should have been here a few minutes ago. I did a tap dance.
You did, eh? Well, you kids must have been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, gee, it's great getting together on Thanksgiving like this.
You said it, Bob. And this year, you know, we should all be thankful. I know I am. See, when I get up in the morning and I hear the birds singing, I got the beautiful moonlight at night, I get all the fresh air I need, all the sunshine I want.
So far, it hasn't cost you a dime.
What are you complaining about? You got your flowers, didn't you? Now, let's not stand around arguing. What we need is entertainment.
That's right. Say, Dennis, it'll be a little while before we eat. So how about a song?
Yeah, come on, Dennis. How about it, huh?
Come on, Denny, go ahead.
Yeah, it's about time somebody asked me. I've been here ever since 6:30.
I'm not going to ask him why.
Jack, while Dennis is singing, will you mix the salad?
Sure, Mary, but let me wear your apron. I don't want to get my tuxedo dirty.
Okay. Here you are.
Thanks. Now, Dennis, go ahead and sing your... I'll get it, Mary. I'll get the door. Hold the song till I come back, kid. When you say I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. When you ask me to... Yes?
How do you do? Is this Miss Livingston's residence?
Yes, it is.
Well, Miss Livingston is expecting me for Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, well, come right in. You got here just in time. The fun's just starting.
How nice.
Here, Here, let me take your hat.
Thank you.
Your coat?
Thank you.
Now follow me. Hey, kids! Oh, pardon me. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jack Benny.
How do you do? I'm the new butler.
Hey, kid! What? The butler?
Yes. Are you the downstairs maid?
I happen to be a guest here. I'm wearing this apron because I don't want to get salad dressing on my chlorophyll. I mean, my tuxedo. If you're the butler, the kitchen is right through that door.
Thank you.
Jack, who is at the door?
Nobody.
Well, whose coat and hat are you carrying?
Oh, darn it, they're your butlers. He just came in. All right. Go ahead and sing, Dennis.
Well, Mr. Benny, I'm going to introduce a new song, and if you like it, maybe you'll want to use it on your television show.
Maybe. Let's hear it.
Are all that I have for you. Sweetheart, won't you try dreaming too? And fly with me afar up to a star for a rendezvous. And the special dreams you inspire fill my lonely heart with desire to take you for my own, for mine alone, then dream anew. We'll have rainbows blend with moonlight for our wedding jubilee, and an ever-ending June night, as long as we demand it be. Dreams, yes, dreams alone. I have nothing else I compare. Still I know we'll find happiness. My heart within me cries, please close your eyes and dream, dear, with me.
Hey, fellas, everybody in the dining room. Dinner's on the table.
It's about time. I've been here ever since 6:30.
Dennis, I'm not going to ask you why, so be quiet. Hey, kids, I'll tell you what, let's all march in the dining room. Let's have a good old conga line.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da-da, boom! Da-da-da-da-da, boom! Da-da-da-da-da, boom! Don, if you can't control it, don't swing it. For heaven's sake.
Oh, Jack, you and your ideas. Now, come on in, fellas. The dinner will get cold.
Okay, let's go.
Jack, we're short of chairs. Bring in the piano bench.
All right, be with you in a minute. Hey, what's this dish on top of the piano? Well.
Hey, Jack, you get your hands out of there. That's for the boys.
Oh.
Jack!
How can she see from the other room? Here I come with the piano band.
I wonder what's keeping that butler. Oh, Croveney. Croveney.
I don't know why you hired that smart aleck butler anyway. Hey, Croveney.
Yes, sir.
Croveney, we're ready to... Croveney, why did you come in here barefooted? Where are your shoes?
I'm sorry. I took them off by mistake.
What?
I used to work in a winery.
Stop with the joke. Just bring in the food.
All right.
What a butler. I still can't understand what made you hire him.
Your dinner is served. Here's the turkey.
Gee, that turkey looks good.
Jack, will you do the carving?
Sure, I love to carve. Give me that knife. Mary, what do you want, white meat or dark meat?
White meat, please.
How about you, Dennis?
Well, I'll have a drumstick.
Okay. Now, Don, would you like the white meat, dark meat, a leg, or a wing?
Yes, thank you, with mashed potatoes.
Say, Bob, look at Bagby. He's eating with his hands.
Yeah. Hey, Bagby.
What do you want?
Have you tried your knife and fork?
Yes, and they're delicious.
What?
Yeah, he eats everything. Wristbands, jewelry, shoehorns.
How do you like that?
Oh, Miss Livingston, shall I serve the hot biscuits now?
Yes, Croveney.
I'll have one.
Very well. There.
Croveney, don't throw the biscuits.
Certainly not.
Why don't you stand closer to the table?
I've been watching these people eat, and I don't want to get any on me.
Croveney, your job is just to serve the food and not to antagonize the guests.
Yes, madam.
Say, Mr. Benny, how about making a speech?
Yeah, go ahead, Jack. Say something.
Well...
You know, this is the first time we've all had dinner together in a long time, so go ahead, make a speech.
Okay. Well, kids, it's sure nice for all of us to be here on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, a day set aside where families can get together in common bond and humbly give thanks in a spirit of brotherly love.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. Yes, Thanksgiving. A day that was originally started by the Pilgrim Fathers. The Pilgrim Fathers. That stalwart, staunch group of men and women who left their native shore.
Don, stop eating.
And after many months of suffering, had their hardship rewarded by safely landing at Cape Cod in the year of 1620. Yes, our Pilgrim Fathers...
Jack.
Our Pilgrim Fathers...
Jack.
What is it, Don?
The Pilgrims didn't land at Cape Cod. They landed at Plymouth Rock.
No, Don. It was Cape Cod.
Jack, any schoolboy knows it was Plymouth Rock. How can you say Cape Cod?
Don, don't tell me anything about history. I went to school, too. I say the Pilgrims landed at Cape Cod.
They didn't land at Cape Cod. It was Plymouth Rock.
Don, they landed at Cape Cod, and if you don't...
Jack, put down that carving knife.
Oh, pardon me.
Beast!
Croveney, you stay out of this. Now, Don, this is Thanksgiving, so let's not quarrel. You think it was Plymouth Rock? I know it was Cape Cod. You can take my word for it. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, so do I. It was Plymouth Rock.
It was Cape Cod.
Oh, for heaven's sake, cut it out. Croveney, serve the dessert, will you?
I will if those two gentlemen will get off the table.
I will if he will.
I'll have some more of that white meat.
That's my leg.
We should... You should have told me sooner. I put some gravy on it.
Well, wipe it off. Now, Don Wilson, I think it's awful for you to come here on Thanksgiving, accept Mary's hospitality, and start a big argument like this.
I didn't start the argument. You did. And you can ask anybody, and they'll tell you the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock.
I don't care who you ask. I still say they landed at Cape Cod.
Jack, for goodness sakes, finish the speech you started.
I'll do it if everybody will shut up. Now, as I was saying, friends, we're gathered here on Thanksgiving Day in a spirit of friendship.
I gathered at 6:30.
Friendship, a word that in itself represents that binding tie between all people. Let's try, friends. Let's try to keep the feeling that is so prevalent on this day throughout the entire year. So whenever you feel discouraged, just think of the spirit of those pilgrims who sailed across the ocean deep and finally landed at Cape Cod. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back in just a minute because I want to tell you about my television show, which goes on immediately after this program. But first...
Lucky's taste better.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Better get a carton, better get a carton, better get a carton today.
Friends, you'll cheer Lucky's too once you smoke them, because in a cigarette, nothing beats better taste. And Lucky's do taste better. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Now, this better taste starts with Lucky's fine, mild, good-tasting tobacco. Everybody knows LSMFT, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And just as important, Lucky's taste better because they're made better. They're made round and firm and fully packed to give you a cleaner, fresher, smoother taste. No wonder a nationwide survey based on actual student interviews in 80 leading colleges reveals that more smokers in these colleges prefer Lucky's than any other cigarette. Yes, and Lucky Strike gained far more smokers in these colleges than the nation's two other principal brands combined. Now, the number one reason the students gave for smoking Lucky's was better taste. No doubt about it. Nothing beats better taste. And Lucky's taste better. Cleaner, fresher, smoother. Remember that when you step up to your favorite cigarette counter. Be happy. Go Lucky. Get better taste today.
Be happy, go lucky, get better taste today.
Boss, you haven't got time to read. You're supposed to do your television show in 30 seconds.
I know, Rochester. I'm not reading. I'm just looking something up in this history book. Here it is. In the year of 1620, the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. Gee, it wasn't Cape Cod. It was Plymouth Rock. Don Wilson was right. Well, I hate to do this, but I guess I'll just have to call him up and fire him. If he's so smart, he can get another job. See you in a few seconds, folks.
The Jack Benny program this week was written by Milt Josephsberg, John Tackerberry, Al Gordon, Hal Goldman, and produced and transcribed by Hilliard Martin. The Jack Benny program is brought to you by Lucky Strike, product of the American Tobacco Company, America's leading manufacturer of cigarettes.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is John Daly on the deck of the Mayflower at Plymouth Harbor, England. High tide and sailing time is here this 6th day of September 1620. But this tragic ship, with its company of 102 desperate, frightened, hounded souls who are displacing their persons from the old world to the new, has not yet sailed. These pilgrims, these refugees for religious freedom and civil rights, are still tied to Europe by a Gordian knot of heart-breaking difficulties. And unless these outlaws from the Church of England can cut that knot before the ebb tide sinks them deeper into danger, the Mayflower may never sail at all for the colony of Northern Virginia, recently renamed New England. The afternoon sun is throwing shadows of gloom on the town of Plymouth behind me. Soon will be...
Plymouth Harbor, England, September 6th, 1620. You are there.
The exodus of the Pilgrims, out of the noose of oppression and persecution, into the arms of an angry sea and a desolate winter continent. CBS takes you back to a little-known but fateful moment in American history. All things are as they were then, except for one thing.
You are there.
You Are There is based on authentic historical fact and quotation. And now...
Plymouth Harbor, England, September 6th, 1620. The deck of the Mayflower and John Daly.
Voyage to the New World and to freedom. Twice they have been delayed for repairs to their sister ship, the Speedwell, which has finally been withdrawn, crowding all into the Mayflower. And now, at last, they must sail with this tide. For today, the weather is good. Tomorrow or the day after, it may be bad enough to prevent their sailing at all, for winter is close upon them. Another delay and the Mayflower would have to face the grisly gales of an autumnal sea, and the far from certain arrival in a strange land gripped in the fury of winter. These refugees have already lost their summer chances, and to lose more is suicide. Here with me at our CBS microphone is Christopher Jones, the master of the Mayflower. Captain Jones is one of the most respected shipmasters in all of England. He's 1/4 owner of the Mayflower, a middle-aged, rather sedate man, a strict, strong, dependable citizen. These Pilgrims will be in good hands if they succeed in getting away today. But right now, the face of Captain Jones is troubled with deep and anxious lines. Captain Jones, what's holding the Mayflower up? Why don't you sail, sir?
We will sail.
But how can you say that, Captain? Your canvas is still tied down, and the tide is at its height.
Well, I expect my orders momentarily, and we'll sail.
And who are those orders to come from, sir? From the Pilgrim elders who are locked in the cabin?
Yes, as soon as they settle their last-minute differences with Mr. Weston, the representative of the adventurers.
But who are these adventurers, Captain? What is their business with these refugees?
The adventurers, Mr. Daly, are a group of men who are venturing not their persons on this expedition, but their capital.
Well, Captain, do you know what the last-minute differences between these moneylenders and the Pilgrims are?
I can't say, sir. Something to do with the contract they agreed upon for the sharing of profits from possible trade in the New World. As if we haven't got enough trouble, Mr. Weston arrives 10 minutes ago and closets himself in the cabin and holds up our departure.
But as soon as these differences are settled and Mr. Weston gets off the ship, you will sail.
I certainly hope so, sir.
Hope? But only hope? Why?
Well, my passengers say they'll not sail without their charter from King James.
But what charter? I hadn't heard about that.
The charter guaranteeing them civil and religious freedom from the King's authority in the New World. Sir Robert Norton, that's His Majesty's emissary, gave his word that he would arrive today.
But, Captain, suppose he doesn't come before the tide has ebbed?
Well, only Providence can answer that question, sir, not I. And now, if you'll excuse me...
One more question, Captain, please. Are all the elders on board the Mayflower now?
They're in the cabin. I'm going there now, sir.
Well, would you care to state who exactly of the elders is on board?
Well, in the cabin are William Bradford, Deacon Cushman, John Carver, and perhaps some others.
And would you care to say, Captain, if the elder William Brewster is on board?
Now, Mr. Daly, it was your desire and your promise to ask but one question. Now, I believe I've kept my bargain. Now, if you please,
well,
sir.
Thank you very much, Captain Jones. The master of the Mayflower is entering the cabin, and we really didn't expect him to answer our questions as to the whereabouts of William Brewster, the ruling elder of these departing refugees. Master Brewster is a hunted fugitive with a price on his head. He is at this moment, and for the past 10 years he has been, the object of an international manhunt instituted by His Majesty. He's been accused of printing a book entitled Perth Assembly, and His Majesty has denounced that book as being, and we quote, an atrocious and seditious libel written with scorn and reproach against the king and his bishops. Printed copies of the book were smuggled from Holland into Scotland in French wine vats. Now, there's a flurry of excitement on the deck of the Mayflower. It's caused by the arrival of a royal carriage. It's speeding at a dangerous pace down the wharf right now, and it must be the arrival of Sir Robert Norton, the King's Secretary of State. The carriage is pulling up now at the boards leading up here to the deck of the Mayflower. Door is opening. Yes, it is. It's Sir Robert. It's the official who has intervened on behalf of the Pilgrims to secure them the King James Charter for the New World. He's coming up the planks now and must pass our CBS microphone on his way to the captain's cabin. I'm going to try to get a hold of him. Sir Robert! Oh, Sir Robert!
Stand aside, please.
Sir Robert, have the Pilgrims got their charter, sir? Do you carry the charter?
I said stand aside, please.
Yes, sir. Master William Bradford, Elder Bradford, has appeared at the cabin door to greet Sir Robert. Both men have gone in. The cabin door has been shut in our faces, but we hope that at least one of the difficulties besetting these poor, desperate refugees will be surmounted. This charter is vital to them. Without it, they cannot live under the protection of the king in the New World and enjoy liberty of conscience. You know, this Mayflower seems a pitifully inadequate vessel to brave the vast terrors of the Atlantic, particularly at this time of the year. She's no more than 100 feet, say, from bow to stern, and perhaps 20 to 25 feet at the beam from port to starboard. She has plied good wine and bad wine from every port in France in the past and landed it safely on the London River. And on some occasions she's carried luxurious taffetas and satins and stockings and coney skins. In fact, the aroma of her last wine cargo still pleasantly escapes from her hold. But on this, her first Atlantic crossing, the Mayflower's cargo has ironically turned from riches to rags. This time, she carries an unusual cargo: men, women, and crying children. And up at the bow of the ship, Ken Roberts, surrounded by these children, seems to have something to say. So go ahead, Ken.
Ready? Sing.
And the earth did shake and quake, and stirred the ground of the mountains shook.
The children you hear doing their distracted best to sing one of the tongue-twisting psalms of the Pilgrims are being led by a pretty young miss, and she's doing her distracted best to keep them from crying.
Eat out of his mouth, from it burned with heat.
Good children, very good.
Hush, children, hush.
Would you tell us your name, please, miss?
Priscilla Mullins.
And how old are you, Miss Priscilla?
18.
18. And is your father a religious dissenter, a pilgrim?
Oh, no, sir. My father is a shopkeeper from Dorking, Surrey. We are French Huguenots.
Well, then why is your family fleeing England if you are not religious dissenters?
Only 40-some-odd of the people aboard the Mayflower are religious dissenters. The rest of us are sailing for other urgent reasons.
Miss Priscilla, what are those urgent reasons?
My father says that there are many on board this ship that flee not the persecution of their souls, but the persecution of their bodies. For as you know, sir, all over Europe, they see the grim and gaunt face of poverty and hunger coming upon them like an armed man.
I understand. And, Miss Priscilla, who are these children you are shepherding? These children here?
4 of them are orphans.
Orphans on the Mayflower?
Yes, poor waifs of London town. Poor orphans dragged off quite as if they were debtors or criminals and sentenced to exile in the colonies.
But by whose authority?
Ask the Lord Mayor of London and his bishop.
Oh, I see. Less mouths to feed in London.
I suppose so.
I see. And, what is your name, young man?
Wrestle.
Wrestle what?
Wrestle with the devil.
Wrestle with the devil. Well, that's a good name.
My brother has a good name, too.
I'm sure he has. What is it?
Love.
What's that?
Love of God. Don't you?
Well...
My father does. He's a great man. My mother says not to tell where he is, but I know.
Wrestle, hush.
I won't tell, Miss Priscilla. I promised. My father's in prison, but he'll escape and fight the Indians with Love and me.
Oh, I see. You and Love are 2 big Indian fighters. And, what is your father's name?
William Brewster.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Wrestle. Miss Priscilla, I didn't know these two were Master Brewster's children.
Oh, yes, there are two more of us. Two big sisters, Fear and Patience.
Of course, Russell, of course. Fear and Patience. Very appropriate names for the children of William Brewster. Don't you agree, Miss Priscilla?
Yes. My fear is that we will not sail. And as for our patience, that is at an end, and so is our money. My father has sold his shop and all our worldly goods. We have burned all our bridges behind us.
I'm sorry, there's a man coming through carrying a barrel.
I told you before, miss, to get these children out of here. Do you want their heads bashed in with a barrel?
You'll bash no one, you lout. I'm trying my best, can't you see? Come, children.
Thank you, Miss Priscilla. Thank you, children.
Children and wenches, as if we didn't have enough. Hey, you. Maybe you know when we're going to get underway.
Soon, I hope. What's your name?
Alden. John Alden.
That barrel you've just put down must be pretty heavy. What's in it?
The body of William Brewster.
In little pieces, I presume.
That would be a story for you, eh? But it's only beer.
Beer for the sober pilgrims?
Would you expect them to drink ye plain water? It's a prolific source of human ills. Oh, they'll remain healthy as long as I take care of their kegs. I'm not a good cooper.
Are you one of the pilgrims?
Yeah. I'm a cooper out of Harwich. I'm hired on by them to care for their beer, their plain water, and their strong water. That's my task on this voyage.
Mm-hmm. And after the voyage?
Home again for me. I'm hired on for only a year. But if they let this tide run out much longer, I'll never go. Well, enough of this chatter. This barrel of beer wasn't meant for the sun.
Thank you, John Alden. Mr. Alden handles that heavy barrel of beer as if it were kindling wood. Though he can't be more than 20, he's tall, blond, and powerful. The kind of a fellow who's rough and ready with his hands. No doubt that's why the Pilgrims hired him. That's why they... Oh, I see the door of the Mayflower's cabin has opened. Sir Robert Norton has just come out, so back to John Daly.
Sir Robert, the King's Secretary of State, is willing to tell us now what has happened. Sir Robert, has the charter been granted?
I should like to present, if I may, the mind of His Majesty in this matter.
Of course, sir, but did
His Majesty asked me what profits there may be of such an adventure.
By profits, His Majesty meant profits to the realm, I presume.
Yes, and I answered fishing.
Fishing?
Yes, fishing. The departing pilgrims would engage in fishing in the colonies.
And did that satisfy the king, sir?
It amused him. And he replied, so God have me soul, it's an honest trade. It was the apostle's own calling.
I see the king demonstrated his knowledge of theology and of the trade of fishing.
Yes.
But did he, sir, formally consent to the request for the charter?
His Majesty agreed not to molest them should they depart. But he would issue no official seal of protection.
Then the charter was not granted.
I wouldn't say that. His Majesty referred them to the Bishop of London and the Archbishop of Canterbury. Good day, sir.
Good day, and thank you, Sir Robert. The King's Secretary of State is leaving the Mayflower, but one moment. Oh, Mr. Bradford, we'd like to ask you a few questions. Master William Bradford, in the absence of William Brewster, is the ruling elder of these pilgrims. A rather young elder, I would say, wouldn't you, Mr. Bradford?
I am honored that you call me an elder. I'm 31 years old, but we pilgrims age rapidly in the king's protection.
Well, how old is Master Brewster, sir?
Master Brewster is past 50.
Oh, I see.
Yes, he's the only, shall we say, real elder in our company. The rest of us are mostly around 30.
Well, as the present ruling elder, Master Bradford, are you going to follow His Majesty's suggestion that you see the Bishop of London and the Archbishop of Canterbury about the charter?
Have my nose split down the middle? No, thank you. I believe we know what the answer of these venerable gentlemen of the Anglican Church would be.
But, sir, how can you sail without the charter?
To be sure, Mr. Daly, the charter is of great moment to us. Let us not be of too simple a mind about it. Even if we had a seal as broad as a house floor, what is there to prevent the king, if he were disposed to wrong us, from reaching out his long arm even to our new life in America, and there claiming us under his civil and religious authority?
Well, then that means that you will sail without the charter.
We sail without the charter. We sail.
No, I'll not sail. I'll not sail without our boy. Oh, please, William.
Take her away quickly. Take her be loose. Take him in quickly.
Master Bradford, who is that poor woman?
My wife.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. But you are leaving your children behind?
Our only child. He's scarcely 5. My wife has been mad with grief. Forgive her, please, for she, too, is but a child.
But, Master Bradford, other children are going. Why, just a short while ago, we learned that Rassel and Love, the children of William Brewster, are on board.
Yes, but there's no space for all to go. We'd planned to sail on 2 ships. We are now all crowded onto one. And some, like my own child, must be left behind, because they are most unfit to bear the brunt of this hard adventure. And thus, like Gideon's army, we are divided, as if the Lord thought we few too many for the great work he had to do. But now, sir, you'll forgive me. I must return to our business with the adventure.
Well, just one more question, please, Master Bradford.
Yes?
Before you go, could you tell us exactly what the difficulty is between you and the adventurers?
Yes. We had agreed that the fruits of our labor and all profits got from traffic, fishing, and trade should be shared equally with the adventurers for a period of 7 years.
Yes?
Yes. But these bloodsuckers are not content to enslave a man for 7 years. Now they demand 7 days of the week.
Well, how many days had you agreed to work?
5. And the other 2 for prayer and for our own profit to build our homes. And moreover, at the end of 7 years, they now demand that our houses and lots be divided with them.
But surely, sir, the land and houses built in the wilderness will be but a trifle to these adventurers.
They do not think so. The division will be a great discouragement to us. We will have to borrow hours from our sleep to build our houses. But they ask if we will sleep better in the stinking London prisons.
That's too bad, Master Bradford, but what are you going to do?
Do? What can we do? We have sacrificed everything we possess to pay for this journey. Shall we turn back now, penniless and destitute and at the mercy of the Star Chamber and torture rack? We are like the children of Israel. But the Lord will yet guide us through this sea of oppression.
Master Bradford has gone back into the cabin again, and the people around me here on the deck of the Mayflower have heard the reality of their misfortune. They're discussing it with grim faces and in low tones, and certainly these people have a reason to be grim and unhappy. So many misadventures have befallen them since they first set out for the new world. A penny, you know, is worth a pound to these poor folk. There's not a wealthy man among them. There's not a patch of purple on these passengers, although they do not wear somber clothes, as many believe. Rather, it's the gay apparel of Lincoln greens and russet browns, the same splash of color that you would see on the streets in London town. Indeed, the missing elder, William Brewster, has been known to wear at his pleasure a red cap, a white cap, a quilted cap, or a dandy-laced cap, together with a violet coat and green drawers. Oh, Ken Roberts, up at the Mayflower's bow, has a passenger with 2 dogs, so over to Ken Roberts.
The dogs you hear barking are a great mastiff and a small spaniel. They belong to a man here beside me who has been quietly sitting on a barrel reading the Bible. He has kindly agreed to put aside the holy book for a few moments and speak with us. Sir, why are you taking these 2 dogs along with you to America?
Well, why not? Since my wife is not going, a man must have some form of companionship.
Oh, I see, but what will you do with the 2 dogs?
Do? Why, I shall hunt with them in the wilderness.
Hunt what, sir?
Lions.
Lions? I see. What is your name, sir? Richard the Lion-Hearted?
You jest. I'm John Goodman. My wife's name is Sarah. Sarah Goodman, just these past few months.
Forgive me, sir. Just married and you're leaving your bride behind?
Oh, not of my choice, sir. I left her behind in Delft Haven, Holland. There was not room for all on our little craft, the Speedwell. Now I am fortunate to be on the Mayflower, for all men know the treachery of the Speedwell's captain, who claims the boat is unseaworthy.
Well, isn't it? Didn't it force you to turn back twice and delay you for a month?
I will tell you a secret, Mr. What is your name, sir?
Roberts.
Yes, I will tell you a secret, Mr. Roberts. The captain of the Speedwell and his men are afraid of remaining a winter in the wilderness.
They are?
Yes, but we're not afraid. We fear the wilderness less than the languishing death which we dissenters suffered in the London prisons, where many of us have perished by hunger and cold, and by long and hard imprisonment, and held without bail in black dungeons where I could not see my hand at noonday. Oh, yes, I remember too well the Star Chamber and how we were whipped and pilloried in the presence of the court. Look, I had one ear sliced off, you see. So some have had their noses split down the middle and the letters SS branded on their foreheads.
SS?
Ah, yes, I see you know what that means. Stirrer of sedition. If reading this Bible in the common tongue makes me a stirrer of sedition, it might make me lose my other ear. But have no fear. Have no fear. I'm safe. We are free. I am sailing to the new world. The new world where a husbandman may sing the psalms at his plow, and a weaver warble the words of the book at his shuttle. Nay, more. There in America, it will not be many years before a boy that driveth the donkey will know more of the Scripture than the Archbishop of Canterbury. And now, sir, may I speak a poem?
Yes, if you like.
I sit upon the deck. Book is in my hand. Do not fear. Heaven is near, I say, by water as by land. I sit upon the deck.
Oh, excuse me, Master Goodwin. There's a disturbance on the wharf, a fight of some kind. I see John Daly down there, so down to the wharf.
It was a fight, Ken. One of the ship's passengers walked off the Mayflower with all his family and all of his belongings, and another man who appears to be a soldier accused him of deserting and tried to stop him. A fight flared up, and, well, it's almost over now, I hope, and we'll try to find out what it's all about. Now, look, one at a time, please, one at a time. And now, sir, suppose you tell us why you're leaving the Mayflower.
He's a man, a coward, sir, if he fears that his children will be exposed to the miseries of the land and the colonies. But can a man bear to see his loved ones die of famine and nakedness and want?
We are well provisioned.
Sir, please, let him speak. Well provisioned, are we? We are in such a strait at present that we now scarce have any butter to brave the winter. We have no oil, not a hide of leather to mend a shoe. And are we provisioned against the change of air, sir? And the strange diet and the drinking of strange water that will affect our bodies with sore sicknesses and grievous diseases?
But there is a physician and surgeon on board the Mayflower, 2 of them, in fact.
And can he save us from the savages?
We have muskets, sir.
Muskets? How many muskets against a cruel and barbarous and most treacherous people who are most furious in their rage? For I have heard that they are content not only to kill, but delight to torment men by playing them alive with the shells of fishes.
How do you know all of this?
I know. They cut up a body piecemeal. They broil it over the coals and they eat the collops of flesh in their sight while still the body lives.
You seem to be well informed, sir, about places you've not been to.
Aye, sir, verily I am informed. I am informed that the 1,200 immigrants have sailed from England these past 3 months. 1,000 died on the voyage or after their arrival in the Virginia colonies. Now answer that, Captain Shrimp.
Who are you calling Captain Shrimp?
You hit the moment, please. Just a moment.
I'll shred him to pieces.
Please.
Give a living libel. No one can call me Captain Shrimp.
Just a moment.
My name is Captain Miles Standish.
Well, then you are... Calm down, Captain Miles Standish.
Captain Shrimp, will you?
Aye, Shrimp.
Captain Standish is a short, stubby fellow with a flaming head of red hair that now matches the crimson rage in his face. Well, what are you captain of, Captain Standish?
I am a military man.
You are a Shrimp.
I fought with the Dutch against Spain. And any flea that calls me Captain Shrimp will find that I am a little chimney that is quickly fired. And should this cowardly deserter, this pernicious Paul...
Captain Standish, now Captain Standish, please. By what authority, sir, did you try to dissuade this man abandoning the voyage? Are you an elder?
No. But I've been chosen by the elders to preserve order and lead the Pilgrim Army in the New World.
You mean you're going to protect them against the savages?
I will protect them against any enemy, man or beast.
Well, I presume then, Captain Standish, that you are one of these pilgrims.
No, sir. I am a Roman Catholic. My task is simply to protect these people, even from such a deserter as this one.
I am not a deserter, sir.
Please. You've had your say.
He is stirring up fear among us. But we will be strong, even though today we are weak. With the help of God, there will come a day when the bees will have honey in their hives. And then they will also have stings in their tails.
Excuse me, the Mayflower cabin door has been flung open, and the agent for the adventurers, Mr. Weston, is striding swiftly across the deck. He's coming off the ship and coming down the boards here to the wharf. He looks very angry. Perhaps I can stop him to say a word. Mr. Weston! Mr. Weston!
No comment.
But, sir, is the Mayflower sailing?
Let me by, please.
Just one question, please, sir. Has the contract been settled?
There is no contract.
But, Mr. Weston...
I have no time. If they leave, they stand on their own legs.
That's Mr. Bradford, sir. He's come out of the cabin and he's coming down the board.
Let him come. He'll do no business with me. Bloodsuckers, are we? Are my investors to be called bloodsuckers simply because they want to protect their money?
Weston, the new contract you propose is fitter for thieves and bond slaves than honest men.
I bleed for you, Master Bradford, but I'll not risk another penny of the adventurer's capital.
I understand. He that ventureth his money hath more power than he that ventureth his person.
We've been through all that. If you've nothing newer to say, then let me by.
We have a new proposal.
Then speak it and be quick.
Very well. Here it is. In return for 2 days and every 7 to build our homes, we will agree, if necessary, to guarantee your profits, though it take us more than 7 years. Will that suffice?
Then you guarantee our profits. That's reasonable. I think the adventurers will agree. I accept.
So be it. Begone, then, and let us sail.
Godspeed.
Captain, we sail at once. All on board!
Godspeed, Master Bradford. Bradford has gone up the boards, and those on the wharf here are hurrying up after him. Captain Jones has given the order to raise the hook. There's a whirlwind of activity up there on the deck of the Mayflower. Sailors are shouting, leaping up into the rigging. The sails are going up, beginning to belly out into the wind. Captain Jones is wasting not a moment. He means to catch the last full strength of this tide. And now, a surprise in these last minutes before sailing. Elder William Brewster, the fugitive leader of the Pilgrims, the man with a price on his head, is on board the Mayflower and with Ken Roberts. So now, back to the cabin.
William Brewster is here, sitting across the table from us in the Mayflower's cabin as it gets underway to the new world. Master Brewster, will you tell us where you have been?
Some say I have been to London, some to Scotland, and still others to Holland. All are correct, but for the past hour, as you know, Mr. Roberts, I've been sitting in the hold of the Mayflower.
Master Brewster, how do you feel now that finally you're about to sail for a new land?
We are departing on a great venture. In the new world, we will establish a new form of living with ourselves and with God. I fervently pray that maybe next year, God willing, the Mayflower will return, perhaps with a cargo of salt fish and pelts, and sell them at a fair profit. And then when she sails again to America, many more families will go with her. Our men will build their own houses and till their own fields. And our women will weave Sunday clothes for their own families. We will all enter our own church and worship in our own way. Please, God.
A happy success on your hopeful voyage. And now, Master Brewster, I must go ashore, so Godspeed again. And back to John Daly on the wharf.
The lines have been cast off. Captain Jones is urging his crew on to hurry, and there it goes. The Mayflower is sailing. The people here on the dock are waving and weeping. It's a noisy, but at the same time, a tragic scene. Many of these people will not see their friends and relatives for perhaps years. The Mayflower, her sails filling and the wind is heaving through the water, making her way towards the Catwater and the Sound, bound for the New World and New England. The sun is setting against the rolling white clouds.
September 6th, 1620. The Pilgrims sailed for America to establish the first colony founded on civil and religious liberty.
From Hollywood, California, we present Gene Hersholt in a new Dr. Christian story called Prelude to Thanksgiving. Presented for your enjoyment by the Cheesebro Manufacturing Company, owners of the trademark Vaseline, and producers of Vaseline Petroleum Jelly, Vaseline Hair Tonic, and other famous Vaseline specialties. Do you know that any woman can give her hair a real oil treatment for only a few pennies? Now, here's what you do. Massage Vaseline Hair Tonic generously on your scalp. And then, with your scalp feeling tingly and well-stimulated, wring a towel out of hot water and wrap it around your head. Keep this steaming up for several minutes, and then shampoo your hair. You'll really be amazed when you see how soft and lustrous your hair looks. No matter how dry your scalp has been, how dry or brittle your hair, you'll find it looks and feels better after a Vaseline Hair Tonic treatment. Vaseline Hair Tonic contains absolutely no drying ingredients. It helps the natural oils of the scalp keep your hair healthy-looking and easy to manage. You'll find Vaseline Hair Tonic economical, too. Only 40 cents for a generous shaker top bottle and only 70 cents for the large economy size. Now let us set the stage for tonight's Dr. Christian drama, which is called Prelude to Thanksgiving. Among Dr. Christian's favorite patients in River's End are the members of the Gardner family, Kathy, an energetic and attractive young matron, and her daughter, Catherine Ann, who dubbed herself Tanny at the age of 18 months and has been called that ever since. The cast in the play includes Janet Russell in the role of Tanny, Gloria Holden as Kathy, Edwin Mills as Randy, Eugene Dorian as Bud Collins, and, of course, Rosemary DeCamp in the role of Judy Price, the doctor's secretary. As the curtain rises, we find Dr. Christian in his office, adjusting a bandage and protesting vigorously.
Tanny, listen, I can't put a bandage on this ankle if you keep moving your foot around like that.
Oh, my foot's going to be all right. Mother wouldn't have thought anything about it if I'd turned it any way but trying to chin myself on the cherry tree with the boys. I beat 'em all, though.
But your mother didn't like you doing it?
No. She didn't say much, but Mother's an open book to me, Dr. Christian. I always know exactly what she thinks I should do and what she thinks about me when I don't do it.
Well, why don't you try doing it once in a while? You're fond of your mother, aren't you, Tanny?
I love her, Dr. Christian. I just about die for Mom. You know that. But she's so old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned?
Dr. Christian, she's living in the past, practically in the Dark Ages.
Well, I've probably been so busy I just hadn't noticed. There isn't any movement on foot that you know of to have old parents put in a lethal shampoo, say about 30, is there? After they have outlived their usefulness, I mean.
Are you making fun of me? Because if you are...
Oh, no, not at all, Tanny. Well, you just told me of certain revolutionary changes, which I'm afraid in my absent-minded way I hadn't noticed. I'm only trying to get your point of view. Unless you feel I'm too old even to get it.
No, you're different. That's one of the nicest things about you, Dr. Christian. You never seem to be any special age. I can talk to you just the way I can to Randy.
Randy?
You know Randy, Randolph Billings.
Oh, yes, of course, yes. I know him very well. He used to suck all the paint off his toy soldiers. And I had to go up there every week or so and give him a pill. It frightened his mother out of her wits. I finally sent him a set of unpainted soldiers, and we all got more sleep.
How revolting.
Revolting?
Thinking of Randy as a toy-sucking baby.
Well, most of us were, one time or another. So you think Randy and I are on about the same intellectual level, do you?
Well, you both have the same sort of attitude toward things. Nice and more practical.
Do you think your mother's too idealistic?
Heavens, yes. Listen, Dr. Christian. Mother sent me down here to have you look at my ankle. But I'll bet what she really hoped was that you'd give me a good talking to.
What about?
She thinks you're a profound influence in my life and that I'll do anything you say. I can't sit around all day all dressed up. I'll never go in for the things Mother wants, Dr. Christian.
You're sure?
Positive. I like to play games and swim, and I'd rather be with boys and girls because they're better sport. Really good eggs like Randy. But I can't be big-eyed and romantic and ladylike. The way I feel, all that sentimental stuff belongs to the days of hoop skirts.
What? Hoop skirts?
Oh, you know what I mean. It's old hat, Doctor. Honest, it isn't. It is. The way Mother expects me to sit with my hands folded when the boys come to call.
What do you do, Tanny?
Well, Randy's learning to play the trap, and sometimes he brings his drums over and teaches me. And last night the fellows all helped me finish building a kennel for Bing. If it's afternoon, why, sometimes they have football practice, and they let me play, too.
It all sounds very active.
Hasn't Mother told you all this? I'll bet she has. I know just how she'd say it. I don't want to restrict Catherine Ann too much, but she's getting older and I can't have her running wild. You always had so much influence with her, Dr. Christian. You talk to her.
Well, as a matter of fact, Tanny, you're wrong.
I couldn't be.
Well, this time you are. Your mother hasn't mentioned your conduct to me, except to say that if I explained to you what was the matter with your complexion, you might stop eating so much candy.
My complexion? What's wrong with my complexion?
Well...
Oh, a little bump or two. I can't be worried. Dr. Christian, listen,
What is it, Tanny?
I've got the most marvelous idea. You talk to Mother for me, won't you? You tell her nobody nowadays does the things she did when she was 15.
Well, I don't know what I can say, but...
Of course you can. Try and make Mom see that I don't need to have my hair waved and that it's just a waste of money for me to have manicures. I just bite the nails anyway. Dr. Christian, it's for my life's happiness. I can't go on through all my existence fighting for my individuality. Oh, gee, I've got to go now. I've got a date to watch football practice. Dr. Christian, you will try to make Mom see reason, won't you?
What is it you want me to do, Tanny?
I want you to make her see I've got to live my own life. I want her to realize that I'm an adult. Oh, Judy.
You asked me to let you know when it was 4 o'clock.
Is it 4 already?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I've got to rush. You will talk to Mother, won't you, Dr. Christian? You'll make her understand that this is 1939 and nobody bothers anymore about being ladylike and romantic.
But, Tanny, wait.
She'll believe it if you tell her. Oh, Dr. Christian, I know I can trust you. Heavens on this seeing Randy try those new plays. Bye!
Well.
Modern news too much for you, Dr. Christian?
Yeah, it leaves me a little breathless.
Tanny was very serious. She told me while she was waiting for you to come in that she had a very important request to make of you.
I take it she feels she's living a little in advance of her time. Just what was it you gathered specifically that she wanted me to do about her mother, Judy?
Well, she told me she hoped you could persuade her mother to stop being so quaint.
Quaint?
Mm-hmm.
Quaint?
Yeah.
Kathy Gardner Quaint. You know, Kathy, my dear, until I talked to your daughter, I always consider you one of the most progressive young women in River's End. How in the world did you ever fall into this slow, senile decay?
I haven't the least idea. Only a few months ago, Tanny thought everything I said was wisdom from heaven. She's always been so reasonable and open to suggestion, and then all at once...
Ha-ha, came the revolution.
Came the revolution. Her father overnight degenerated into a lovable old fogey, and her mother a relic fit for a museum. Life has passed us by, Dr. Christian, and so is Tanny.
Oh, you seem remarkably cheerful about it.
I am. I so well remember when I felt the same way about my own mother. She took it very well. She seemed to consider it a sort of adolescent measles. Tanny asked you to talk to me, didn't she?
Well, to tell you the truth, she had the same suspicion about you.
Well, it's a good idea. She thinks you're wonderful. And she might listen to you when she turns a deaf ear on the old folks at home.
Oh, well... I don't believe that at the moment she'd be much impressed, even by my sage counsel and advice.
Well, maybe not. I guess it's just a matter for endurance. But you do agree with me, don't you, Dr. Paul, that this is only a phase, that she's going to outgrow it?
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Oh, such a relief. To have Tanny go on through the years considering herself the offspring of superannuated and slightly feeble-minded parents. My last imbecility was to refuse to let her ride to Northport on a motorbike with the Collins boy. Well, we breakfasted in dignified silence, and she didn't come home for lunch.
The Collins boy? I thought it was Randy Billings.
No, I think it is Randy. But she scorns sentiment and insists she's quite impartial. Well, I quite approve of that part of her attitude. It's just that she's such a... Oh, in my mid-Victorian way, I was about to call her a tomboy.
Well, you better not let her hear you say.
No.
Well... I've got to be going.
Oh, I'm glad I had this chance to talk with you. Would you use your influence with Tanny?
I'll do what I can.
Oh, thank you a lot. I do worry. Well, now stop in and see an old lady now and then, won't you?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, Dr. Christian.
Well, hello, Tanny. Just getting home from school?
Yes, and I've got to go right back. I forgot my history notebook.
Oh, well, get in the car and I'll drop you. I'm going that way.
Oh, Gran, thanks. What were you doing at our house?
I stopped to see your mother about some of my clinic cases. She's doing some visiting for me.
Did you talk to her about her attitude?
Well, I mentioned it, but you have to take such things slowly, you know. How's everything going at school?
We had a perfectly foul examination in algebra this morning, so I probably flunked.
Did you?
Well, I'm afraid I did. Mother says if I didn't spend all my afternoon study periods watching football practice, I'd have better marks.
Well, I can see it might interfere. Randy Billings is on the team this year, isn't he?
Oh, yes. Why, he practically is the team.
Yes, he's quite a star.
Just wait till you see what he does at the Thanksgiving game. Everybody's crazy about him. And the fuss people make over anybody who scores a touchdown.
No, you mustn't begrudge your hero his public, Tanny.
You ought to see the way the girls at school hang around him. And they have regular fights about who gets to sit the row in back of him at assembly.
That's enough to turn any man's head.
Jean West is the worst.
Who is Jean West?
She's a new girl here. I think she's a drip. She does her hair in little curls all over her head, uses bright red fingernail polish and lipstick. That is, outside of school. They make her take it off for class.
Oh, I imagine so.
But she puts it on afterwards. She's a hunter.
A hunter?
Yes, after the men.
Oh. What we used to call boy crazy, I guess.
Probably. She likes Randy awfully well.
Does she?
Of course, Randy doesn't care anything about her. Randy likes girls who are regular, not that dizzy dolled-up type.
I see.
He says the clingy stuff is just silly. He's always laughing at the boys who fall for it. Randy likes me because I'm just one of the fellas. I can do some things that even fellas won't try, like climbing Dead Man's Rock. You know, it's sort of funny. Randy agreeing with Mom this morning.
What did you agree with her about?
About my riding around on Jim Collins' motorbike with him. Mom said I couldn't do it anymore, and when I told Randy, he said she was right.
Oh. Did he say why?
He said it was rough stuff. He said for me not to dare do it anymore.
Well, maybe he...
Stop here, Dr. Christian. I'll cut across the lawn. Football practice must be about over. Look at all the cars waiting.
Yes, here come some of the boys now.
Oh, there's Randy. I'll get him to wait and walk home with me. He'll be surprised to see me here. Yoo-hoo, Randy!
Well, he doesn't hear you.
Randy! Randy! Going the other way. Oh, dear. He seems to be looking for someone.
Yeah, the people in that green car, I think. They're waving at him.
Yes, that's Carol Moore's car. She and Dan Harvey are in the front seat. There's some girl in back. Look, Dr. Christian, Randy's getting in with him. He's getting in the back seat.
Who's the girl in the back seat, Tanny? Anyone you know?
Yes. Yes, I know her all right. I'd know that hair anywhere. That's Jean West.
And the curtain comes down for a brief intermission in our Dr. Christian story starring Jean Hersholt. It's an intermission just long enough for me to present the testimony of another of our good customers.
I'm the mother of a 12-year-old boy who just loves to play football. And quite frequently he comes home with scratches, small cuts, or bad bruises. But I never worry. I just reach for the Vaseline jelly and take care of these minor injuries in no time. In our home, Vaseline jelly has always been a standby. For one thing, after doing the dishes, I always rub it on my hands. If I do say so myself, after 14 years, my hands still look like a bride's, thanks to Vaseline jelly.
Vaseline jelly is an important household remedy in over 90% of all American homes. It has attained this amazing record because it does these three important things. First, Vaseline jelly forms a protective film that helps keep out infection when the skin is broken. Second, it soothes irritation and promotes rapid healing. And third, it softens and lubricates the skin by supplementing the natural body oils. Be sure you have a good supply on hand. Vaseline jelly costs only 10 cents anywhere. We return now to the second act of Prelude to Thanksgiving. The scene is the laundry of the Gardner home, where Tanny is vigorously giving her dog a bath.
I know you don't like this old fellow, but hold still. Let me dry you good and dry. Come on. Oh, you're so beautiful and clean.
Tanny! Tanny! Oh, here you are. Randy's in the living room, dear. He wants to see you.
He probably just stopped by to ask me to go to the Thanksgiving dance. It's about time. Oh, the dance is going to be marvelous. They're going to give out the football letters and everything.
Well, whatever Randy is, you kept him waiting long enough, dear.
All right. There, Bing, you old silly. I guess you're dry. Now, don't you dare run right out and roll in the dirt. Kind of watch him, will you, Mom, till I get back?
All right, come here, old fellow.
Hello, Tanny.
Hi, want to see me?
Yes, I did. That is, well, I was just going by and I thought...
I was washing Bing.
Oh, if you're busy...
Oh, I'm all through now.
I can't stay but a minute. I got to go on down to Tad Brown's house. Today's initiation.
Initiation?
Sure. Fraternity initiation, you know. They work on us all day. After tonight, I'll be a full-fledged Omega Tau.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
I'll have my pin tomorrow. Tanny.
Yes?
Tanny, there's something I feel I ought to tell you about. Sort of explain.
Explain?
Yeah. It's a sort of a crazy mix-up. It's about the Thanksgiving football dance.
I wondered when you were going to get around to asking me. I had a bid last night from Bud Collins, and I told him I was already invited.
You shouldn't have.
I wish you wouldn't wait like this. You'd ask me right off as soon as you knew there was going to be a dance.
Yeah, that's what I ought to do, but then things like this wouldn't happen.
No? Things like what?
Like my having to go with somebody else.
Somebody else?
Honest, Tanny, I don't know how it ever happened. We were just talking about the dance, nothing special, and I said how swell it was going to be to break training after the game Thanksgiving and go to the dance and get the letters and all, and first thing I knew, she was saying how nice it was of me to ask her. And then she...
Who's she?
Jean West. And then...
And you asked Jean West to go to the Thanksgiving dance?
That's what I'm trying to tell you about. I didn't ask her. She just accepted.
And you're going to take her?
Well, I don't know how to get out of it. Tanny, you understand, don't you? You won't be mad?
Mad? Oh, no. No, I won't be mad. Why should I be mad?
Well, I was afraid...
No, you want to take Jean West to the dance? What business is it of mine?
But it is your business. You and I...
You and I are just friends. I haven't got any strings tied to you. You've got every right in the world to take any girl you want to.
Tanny, listen, What's that?
It's Bud Collins. He's calling for me.
Calling for you?
Yes. Yes, we've got a date. He's going to take me for a ride on his motorbike.
You said your mother wouldn't let you go.
She changed her mind.
Well, I didn't change my mind. You can't go tearing around on that bike with Bud Collins.
And why not?
I don't want you to, that's why. It's tomboyish.
You used to like to have me do tomboy things.
Well, I don't want you to do this.
I'm going to do it right now, and I'd like to see anybody stop me.
I'll stop you.
How?
I forbid it. You're my girl, Tanny.
Sorry, I've got to be going. Bye, Randy.
Wait. Tanny, don't you dare go.
Hi, Bud, I'm coming.
Hello, Tan. I just dropped around.
To take me for the ride you promised me?
Why, yes, if you can go. I thought you said...
Let's start. Quick. Tell me, how do I sit? Like this?
Yeah, hold on tight. Sure you want to go now?
Tanny!
Here comes Randy Billings. Was he at your house?
Don't wait for him. Don't wait. Start the motor, Bud, quick.
All right, if you say so.
Oh!
Hold tight. Here we go.
Tanny, stop.
Bye, Randy.
Bud, look out. Look out for the trap.
Hey, mister, where you going?
Gee, Judy, I feel awful. I feel as if it was all my fault.
Well, how could it be your fault, Randy? It wasn't your motorbike.
I know, but she was riding on it just because I told her not to. And then just as they were starting off, the truck came around the corner and skidded.
I know.
And everybody came running out. And I tried to pick Tanny up. And they told me not to touch her. So Dr. Christian came.
Oh, he got there as quick as he could.
Judy, how bad she hurt, really? Dr. Christian wouldn't tell me a thing for sure yesterday, and when I called his office this morning, he said he still didn't know.
Well, he's examining her again now. In cases like this, you You can't always tell at first, you know. Her arm's broken, and, well, there may be internal injuries.
Gee.
You've just got to be brave about it, Randy. She'll be all right. She's just got to be.
If she is, I'll devote the rest of my life to making it up to her.
Making what up, Randy?
Oh, everything. You know, Judy, Tanny and I have been kind of buddies ever since we were little. And we always sort of took each other for granted. Then, well, a few weeks ago, she told me her mother thought she was too much of a tomboy, that she thought she ought to begin to grow up.
Yes, I believe she did feel that way.
And she asked me what I thought. First, I laughed at her, and then I began hearing things that other girls said.
Jean West, for instance?
How did you know that was who it was?
Oh, I guessed.
Jean sort of laughed at Tanny, called her my glamour girl, and then giggled. Oh, it made me awfully mad. But I could see what she meant. Tanny never wears lipstick or makeup like lots of the girls.
And so you told Tanny you found her a little tomboyish, too,
Not exactly, but, well, anyhow, she began not liking Jean.
Oh.
And then, when I told her about the Thanksgiving dance and that I was taking Jean...
She went off with Bud. Was that it?
Yes, that was it.
Ah, the poor baby.
So you see, it was my fault. And I've got to make it up to her. It's funny how you go along, knowing a girl for years and never really looking at her at all. And then, all of a sudden, someday, something happens and you wake up. I never appreciated Tanny before, Judy. But I think she's the prettiest girl in high school. And the nicest.
There's Dr. Christian now and Mrs. Gardner.
Oh, the nurse is taking care of her, Kathy. You go and get some sleep. You've been up all night.
Oh, I'm all right.
How is she, Dr. Christian?
Is there anything dangerous?
Not a thing that I could discover. She's got a lot of bruises besides the broken arm, but nothing that won't heal up very quickly.
Oh, thank heaven.
Hallelujah. Dr. Christian, Tanny won't possibly be up for Thanksgiving, will she? So she could go and watch the game, I mean?
Tanny will spend her Thanksgiving right in bed, but lots to be thankful for.
You can come in and have turkey with her if you like after the game, Randy.
Can I? Gee, thanks. I'd like to. Dr. Christian, I don't suppose I could go in now, just for a minute, just to tell Tanny I'm glad she's better?
Yes, I think you could. In fact, when the nurse mentioned you were out here, Tanny made me promise to let her see you.
Did she really? Can I go in right now?
Just for a little while, Randy.
All right.
Well, I'd better get back to the office. I'm so glad everything's going to be all right, Mrs. Gardner.
Oh, thank you, Judy.
I'll see you after a while, Dr. Christian.
Yes, I'll be along just a few minutes. Tanny's a very sober young lady, Kathy.
Yes. Perhaps I've lost my tomboy. Oh, Dr. Christian, if anything terrible had happened to her,
Well, nothing did. She's going to be all right.
Yes.
Only older. She almost had her heart broken, you know, as well as her arm.
You think she and Randy...
Yes. Doctor's instinct for diagnosis. I had quite a talk with her, Kathy. I think you'll find she's grown up a little.
Oh, I don't seem to care whether she grows up or not. If she's going to be well, that's all.
I shouldn't be surprised if she began to treat you like a human being again soon. She may even ask you for advice.
Oh, Dr. Christian, I've got so much to be thankful for. I don't insist on everything.
Maybe not, but I think you're going to get it. Happy Thanksgiving, Kathy.
Honestly, Mom, did Dr. Christian say I could have company for Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, he said Randy could come in and eat turkey with you if you kept very quiet.
Oh, that'll be fun. He wants to come and sit with me instead of going to the dance. What are you smiling about?
I was just thinking you looked very attractive in my best bed jacket.
You don't mind, do you? I told the nurse where it was.
No, I don't mind at all. It makes a splendid background.
Background? Oh, you mean for...
Yes.
For the fraternity pin.
Mm-hmm.
It's Randy's.
I suspected as much.
He got it last night. I'm the first girl he's ever given it to.
Really?
Well, I mean, he says I'm the only one. Moms, I guess I need your advice about things.
Do you, darling? Well, I'll be glad to help you if I can. What do you want to know?
Well, Moms, when a boy says he likes you better than anyone else in the world, and And it hurts here. And you feel sort of faint and dizzy. Does that mean that you're in love?
And so we leave Tanny and her palpitations of the heart. And now I have a word about the products that make the program possible, and then Gene Hersholt will tell you something about next week's story. Mothers write in to tell us that one of the most versatile, most economical products in their medicine cabinets is Vaseline jelly. For over 3 generations now, Vaseline jelly has been used to protect and help heal minor burns, cuts, scratches, chafing, chapping, and the countless other minor injuries and irritations of the skin. So soothing and healing that it has been made the base of several specialty products, such as Vaseline borated jelly, Vaseline carbolated jelly, Vaseline lip ice, and Vaseline camphor ice. Ask your druggist about their special uses. But whether you're buying plain Vaseline jelly or any of the Vaseline specialties, be sure the trademark Vaseline is on the jar or tube. That trademark is your guarantee of the utmost in purity. And now, here he is, our star, Gene Hersholt, as the popular doctor of River's End. Dr. Christian, what's next week's story like?
Well, next week I plan to tell you about old Mr. Holly. He's our local music teacher, and the story of his various pupils, from a world-famous violinist to Martha Browning, who will never learn that she can't sing a note. Makes a very amusing play. I know you'll enjoy it, so until next Wednesday evening at this same hour, I'll say good night.
Don't fail to see the new Gene Hersholt picture, Meet Dr. Christian, when it comes to your local theater. This is the first of a new series of RKO radio pictures based on the Dr. Christian radio program and starring Gene Hersholt in his most famous role. This is Arthur Gilmore speaking and bidding you all good night for Vaseline Preparation. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Remember, a Hallmark card will best express your perfect taste, your thoughtfulness. The makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you tonight a dramatic tribute to Thanksgiving, Why Keep Your Heart in Cold Storage, starring Van Heflin. You know, we all have so many troubles and spend so much time thinking about them all year long. It's a real pleasure to pause on Thanksgiving Day and think of the many, many blessings we have to be thankful for. And among the greatest blessings we have are our friends and loved ones. So it seems appropriate tonight to talk about one of the ways we keep that love and friendship alive, the sending of Christmas cards. This year, if you want to send cards that are recognized for their beauty and distinction, and by the wonderful way they have of saying what is in your heart, visit the friendly store that carries Hallmark cards. And now to preside over our program, here is your Hallmark host, Les Tremaine.
Thank you, Tom Shirley, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we bring you a star whose life reads an adventure story. South America, Mexico, Honolulu, Alaska, the South Seas, the Orient, all have been ports of call for Van Heflin. And then he saw still more of the world during his 3 years in the Air Corps, and came back to thrill American movie audiences in such pictures as Till the Clouds Roll By and Possessed. And, Van, we're happy to have you with us tonight. You know, we've been told that the sort of movie part you like is something good and something different. Well, we believe our story tonight just fits your prescription.
Yes, it does, Les. Even the title. Why keep your heart in cold storage? By the way, that advice might very well lead to Hallmark cards.
You're ahead of me, Van. I was going to lead up to the subject of Hallmark and those 3 words that assure folks of getting the greeting cards.
You don't have to tell me, Les. I know. You turn the card over and look on the back for those 3 identifying words. A Hallmark card.
And those 3 little words, a Hallmark card, tell your friends you cared enough to send the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, the makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you a wonderful story of one man's Thanksgiving as they present on the Reader's Digest radio edition, Why Keep Your Heart in Cold Storage, starring Van Heflin.
This all happened last November. Last November, I was just out of the Army. And out of work, too. Ever been in that condition? It made me act in a way I never acted before. I got so my eyes avoided people, my shoulders were hunched over. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't smile with more than one side of my face at a time. Not that I tried very hard. What I had in my soul, I had bitterness, that's what. All right, that's the way it was with me. I was hitching rides one day, and when no rides came, I went up to the door of this tiny farmhouse on Highway 63.
Hello, son.
Oh? Have you got a room I could sleep in tonight?
Why, certainly, son. Come in.
Wait a minute. I can't pay.
I said come in, son.
Okay.
Sit down.
Thanks.
Are you hungry?
Did you hear me when I said that I didn't have any money?
You hear me when I asked if you were hungry?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yes, but I haven't any money.
Well, there's cheese on the table and bread. And well, here's a pitcher of milk.
You're a pretty wonderful guy, you know that?
Thanks. Was it Army or Navy?
Army.
Worked since you were out?
Last 2 days. Odd jobs.
That's strange. Didn't you have a job before you went in the Army?
I didn't go back to it.
That's very interesting.
Interesting?
Yes, if you didn't go back to a job that was waiting for you. This was in your hometown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's very interesting that a young fellow like you wouldn't want to go back to his hometown.
Say, I like you all right, mister, but you're pretty curious, aren't you?
Yes, it's my greatest virtue.
Virtue?
Virtue.
I didn't go back home because nobody wanted me back home.
Parents?
Yeah, 2 of them.
And they don't want you?
Nope.
Girlfriend?
Not anymore.
That's too bad. Now, whose fault was it you broke up?
Oh, it was my fault. I let the Army draft me, didn't I? I went away. I went to all those foreign places for a vacation without her, the Solomons, New Guinea, the Russell Islands. It was my fault.
Jealous, aren't you?
I am not jealous.
My mistake. More milk?
No, thanks. Look, could I see that room that you were going to lend me?
Yeah, it's right this way. You're tired already.
I slept 3 hours last night in a barn.
Well, here's a room. It's a good bed, I think.
Looks wonderful to me.
I'll leave you. Be sure to sleep well. You'll need your strength tomorrow.
Now, for what?
For the job I'm going to get you. Good night.
His name was Green. I didn't know until I met him that people could be the way he was. A combination of village gossip and blooming saint. But that was Green, all right. The village gossip part of him kept on prying into my affairs, and the saint, God bless him, found me a job.
Well, Harold, here's a young man I telephoned you about last night.
Okay, Mr. Green. We can put him to work in the ship room. Oh, you can start tomorrow. Thank you very much. And look, Mr. Green, I'll never forget this.
Oh, that's all right.
Look, I wonder if you could tell me where I could find a room in town.
Miss Blanchard's is good. You take the 3rd Street on the left. Now, wait a minute. You won't need all these directions, son, for another week or 2.
Well, why not?
You won't be paid for another week or 2.
About a week and a half. Well,
So you better come back to my house.
Well, look, I don't want to bother you, Mr. Green.
It bothered me terribly to feel you were sleeping in a barn for the next week and a half. So you come on back to my house.
That was the saint part of him. When we got back to the farmhouse, the village gossip took over. Did I say village gossip? He was also something like a cop getting a 3rd degree. I don't know why I took it.
Well, you have a job now.
Yeah.
I suppose you'll be writing home to tell the folks about it.
Who says so?
Where is your hometown?
It doesn't matter.
Did the girl get married?
How do I know what she did?
You know what she did.
Do I?
Of course you do. You're too interested not to have found out. You're too jealous not to torture yourself by finding out.
All right, so I know and so you don't know and so that's the way it's going to stay.
You going to write to her or just your folks about the new job?
I'm not going to write to anybody.
Why not?
I told you, nobody back there's interested in me.
Your parents aren't interested in you.
Look, you seem to be all in a sweat about my personal affairs, and the only reason I'm bothering with your questions is that you've done me a great favor.
I don't mean to pry.
Well, but you are prying, and the worst part of it is that I've said enough to give you the wrong idea. I've got to go on and tell you this much more. It's not my parents' fault. They're not a natural parents. They're not interested in me because I haven't been a good son. That's all.
In what way were you not a good son?
I was a bum.
Before the war, of course.
That's right.
Tried one job after another, I suppose, and gave them all up.
Yeah, that's it.
And your parents didn't like that.
Well, would you like it if you were my parents?
Like it? No. Be interested in you? Yes. Did you write to them during the war?
Some. Never.
Did they write to you?
Yes.
Well, now tell me one thing. Do your parents know where you are now?
They have no idea where I am.
I'll bet I know why you don't tell them. I'll bet it's because if they knew, they'd come around pestering you. Isn't that it?
Well, what if it is?
It is that, isn't it?
Of course it is. I don't want them bothering their heads about me. What of it?
Nothing. Nothing of it. Except that if they were really not interested in you, it'd be all right to tell them where you are. They wouldn't bother you at all if they were not interested in you.
But
Well?
Look, you get me all mixed up.
I'm afraid you got yourself all mixed up, son.
I broke away from him and went into the room that he had given me. I tried to think of something else, but I just didn't care about anything except the fact that I was all mixed up. He was right, I was mixed up. After a while, I began to want to talk about it. I went out into the living room. Now, wouldn't you know it, Mr. Green didn't seem to want to talk at all.
I'm writing letters, Jordan.
Oh, sorry. No. Be quiet.
Thanksgiving letters.
Yeah?
Well, I'm finishing up this one. I wish you'd read that one there on the table. See if I spelled and punctuated correctly.
Yeah, sure. Huh? Go ahead. Dear Miss Austin, you may be surprised to hear from an old pupil that I write to several people each year at Thanksgiving time to let them know how thankful I am for what they did for me. You may have forgotten me, Miss Austin, but I was a student of yours in the 6th grade in 1916. I'm writing to thank you because in that year you got me interested in literature. Every day since I left you, literature has been a delight to me, and I thank you. Yours gratefully, Marky Green. Hey, look, what is this?
Now, what's the matter? Something misspelled or something ungrammatical?
No, but what kind of a letter is this?
It's a Thanksgiving letter.
I never heard of Thanksgiving letters.
Well, not many people have. I invented them.
What's the idea?
Well, doesn't the letter explain that? Just for the purpose of giving thanks to people who've done something for you. Well, what's the matter? You seem to resent the idea.
No, I don't resent it. It's just that it makes me ashamed.
Why?
Well, I never think of things like that.
I don't have a copyright on the idea.
Well, I don't have anybody to write to anyways.
Nobody to thank?
No, nobody to thank.
I see. You know, funny thing. Last year I wrote 4 Thanksgiving letters, and all 4 were to relatives. But never before last year had I realized I had anything to thank those relatives for. But I did have something to thank them for. I thanked one of them for spanking me once. Could you hand that letter back?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. I think I'll go mail it. Want to come along?
Oh, no, thanks. No, I'll stay here. I've got some things to think about.
moment with the second act of tonight's story from the pages of the Reader's Digest, America's favorite magazine, presented by the makers of Hallmark cards, America's favorite greeting cards. And now here's Tom Shirley.
Now that Thanksgiving is here, there are only 23 more shopping days till Christmas. Have you been wondering what to give the youngsters on your Christmas list? Well, here's just what you've been looking for. A treasure chest of Hallmark dolls. It's a beautifully made chest, rich in colors of gold, silver, and jewels, with a lid that swings back and a removable tray filled with Hallmark dolls from the land of make-believe. A wondrous parade of familiar friends from fairyland. Hallmark dolls are greeting cards, but more, they're 8-inch dolls that stand alone, and on the inside is their own little story told in gay rhyme. You can get the treasure chest with 8 different Hallmark dolls for $3, or with 16 different dolls for $5. See them tomorrow at any of the friendly stores that carry Hallmark cards. And now, once again, here's your Hallmark host, Les Tremaine.
Our program continues now with the second act of tonight's story, Why Keep Your Heart in Cold Storage, starring Van Heflin.
I had some things to think about. I hadn't been a good son. I'd been a bum. And I sat wondering if one of the reasons why I was a poor son might be the fact that never once had I thanked my parents for what they'd done for me. I thought back to a lot of things. I thought back to my father first. I thought of how it had been with my father and me. I remembered, for instance...
Well, son, how do you like the new job?
That job? I don't like it.
Well, I know it isn't the greatest job in the world, but it's steady, and you'll learn a trade while you're at it.
Yeah?
Of course.
Well, I'm not going to learn any trade.
What do you mean?
I mean, I quit the job.
Oh, son. I had a hard time getting at that job.
Yeah, I know that. I know. I'm sorry, but it just isn't for me.
Yes, I can see that. But I want to know why.
Well, what difference does it make?
It makes a great deal of difference to me. You've got to tell me what it was, son. You've got to tell me what made you quit that job.
Well, why should I?
Because I've got to know what to steer away from when I get you your next job.
That was my old man. I never did tell him exactly what was the matter, but he never lost patience with me. Now, sitting in Mr. Green's house, took pen and paper, and I wrote a letter to my old man. Dear Dad, this letter is to thank you just before Thanksgiving time for being you, for never giving up on me. I hope sometime to justify your faith in me. But I haven't yet, so I won't let you know where I am. Your loving son. That's what I wrote to my father. It wasn't any easier to write to my mother. I thought of how it had been with my mother and me.
Well, I thought you'd never get up.
Yeah, well, I was up late last night.
I know. Jordan, I just wish you'd stay home 1 or 2 nights a week.
Yeah, well, I always intend to, but...
I know. What do you want for breakfast? Shall I fry you some eggs? Or would you like some pancakes? I've got some batter here.
Eggs, orange juice, eggs, coffee, toast.
I just hope you won't be late for work.
Oh, didn't Dad tell you?
Tell me what?
I got through on that job.
Jordan.
Now, look, Ma, I hope you won't lecture me.
No, I won't lecture you. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, though.
Okay.
Why don't you bring some of your friends home here some night?
I don't know.
You know.
Well, because you wouldn't like them. You and Dad, you wouldn't approve of them.
That's good.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's good that you can say that. It's good that you can be honest. It's the first step toward coming to your senses. No lectures. No more questions. You'll be all right. But, Jordan.
Yeah?
I'm a working woman. There's a lot to do around this house. I'm afraid since you have no other job to do, you'll have to make breakfast for yourself.
smiled when I thought of my mother and how she was. And I wrote her. Dear Mom, just before Thanksgiving time, I want to thank you for being wise, for knowing your son, for understanding enough not to say too much, and most of all, for making me prepare my own breakfast. It did me good. Your loving son. There was one more letter to write. This was a tough one. I hadn't met Helen until 2 weeks before they took me into the Army.
But we don't need time, Jordan, do we?
What, to tell we're in love? I knew 5 minutes after I met you, and then I knew.
Slowpoke.
So now, listen, you wait, huh?
So I'll wait.
You mean, don't you? I need to know it. You know, I'm no good without you.
Of course you
No,
are.
no, that's true. Will you spruce me up? Look, I haven't taken a drink. I've stayed on the job. Helen, now, don't kid me. If you went back on me, I'd never come back to this town because I'd be a bum again here without you.
Jordan, look at me.
Helen.
Darling.
That's pretty nice for a fella to remember. And if that was all, it'd be wonderful. But I remember something else. I remember a certain mail call in New Guinea just before we took off over the Owen Stanley mountain range. I remember the letter I got from a pal of mine that day. I went out with your girl last night. I've taken her out a lot. Pretty soft for me, huh? The only reason I didn't desert was that I knew I couldn't swim the Pacific. Oh, well, that was all years ago, and now I had a letter to write. Dear Helen, here it is just before Thanksgiving, and I want to thank you. This isn't sarcasm, or not yet anyway. I have got something to thank you for. I thank you for not letting the bad reputation I had around the hometown get in the way of our friendship. I thank you for treating me like a respectable boy when I was far short of respectable. I thank you for making me over in 2 weeks. It doesn't matter that your feelings didn't last. How could they? When Bob Hunter wrote and said that he'd been out with you, I knew it was over, but I want to assure you that what you did for me, that wasn't ever forgotten. I love... No, cross that out. Yours sincerely, or yours respectfully, yours, Jordan.
Jordan.
Oh, Mr. Green, say, are you going to town?
A little later. Why?
Well, would you mail these letters for me?
Certainly, son.
I took your advice.
My advice? Or what advice did I give?
About the Thanksgiving letters.
Oh, well, I just told you what I do. I wasn't giving you advice.
Not much, you weren't. Anyway, I wrote some Thanksgiving letters.
Who to?
One to each parent and one to...
That girl?
That girl, yes.
I'm glad. You decided to let them know all about you, then?
No, I don't give them an address, and I don't tell them what I'm doing.
Oh, well, that's your business, I suppose.
Exactly. It's my business.
Well, all right, I'll mail the letters.
Thanksgiving letters, they do people good. And they're like casting bread on the water. They come right back and do you good, too. Like in my own case. By the time Thanksgiving Day rolled around, I had a room of my own in town, but Mr. Green invited me to the farm for Thanksgiving dinner, so...
Oh, hello, Jordan.
Oh, Mr. Green. Well, can I help you with the dinner?
No, I've got it under control.
Oh, it smells wonderful.
Hey, one thing you can do, though, you can move your truck out of that room you stayed in when you were here.
What do you mean?
I mean, you left a lot of truck in that room, and I'm not going to clean it up for you.
Well, you're crazy.
All right, I'm crazy.
Well, I'm going to go see. No.
Yes, son. It's your old man.
And your old lady.
And me, Jordan.
Oh, but, Oh, Mom... Dad, it's so wonderful to see you. I'm...
Don't talk, son. Just... Oh, darling.
It's good to be here. It's good to see you, son.
But how did you get here? How did all this happen?
Mr. Green wrote us a note.
He said he was a busybody. I wish everybody was a busybody like Mr. Green.
Dad, Mom, listen, I want you to know that I'm trying. I've got a job, and I'm trying to hold on to it. When I had it for 6 months without quitting, I was going to...
I know. But you didn't have to wait 6 months, son.
Jordan, you haven't said anything to Helen yet.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hello, Helen.
Hello, Jordan. Hello, darling.
Well, no need of us pretending. You two have things to talk about. Pa, come on out and help Mr. Green with the dinner.
Hey, no. Well?
You can go out there, too, if you want to.
No, you came to see me. I think we ought to talk.
All right.
There's Bob Hunter.
I think he's all right. I've been out with him several times, Jordan.
That's not news.
I'm sorry. I came here to say one thing to you. I went out with Bob Hunter while you were at Burr. We went to a movie. It was a good movie. I wanted to see it. He invited me. I'd been at home every night since you left, so I said I'd go. He knew I was your girl. He respected that fact.
You have a good time?
Yes. After that, we went out again, more than once.
And you still do?
Yes, I do, once in a while.
You enjoy yourself?
Yes. Is there something wrong with that?
No. Have a good time. Get married. Walk down the path of life into the sunset together, you and Bob.
We won't do that, Jordan.
No?
No. Because Bob still knows whenever he takes me out that he's taking out your girl. Jordan, you never wrote, you never came home, but I'm still your girl.
Helen.
Darling.
Helen, look, I've been rotten.
No. But you told me once that you needed me.
Yeah, well, I still do.
But, oh, darling, you forgot that I need you, too.
That's all. That's the story. Some very nice things happened to me and my parents and my former girlfriend, my present wife, because of my writing some Thanksgiving letters. I'm going to write some next year, too. One in particular. To an old busybody who sticks his nose in other people's business. God bless him.
For a great part, beautifully played.
Well, this steak gave me a real kick, Les. Well, what's on for next week?
Well, something you ought to like. A story about the wide open spaces.
Oh, that's for me.
And a beautiful young girl.
That's for me.
And what happens when they meet.
That I want to hear. Well, tell me, who plays the lead?
Lovely young Peggy Ann Garner.
Oh, well, I'll be with you, all right.
I hope you all will, ladies and gentlemen. Next Thursday, the makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you a story of the horse country that's human and funny and great entertainment. It's called Sonny Goes West, and the star is Peggy Ann Garner.
Each week there's a new Hallmark doll of the week, and this week we present Curly Locks, whose beauty won a prince's heart. Strawberries trim her lovely dress, and her bright yellow hat is a real plume. She'll win the heart of every child on your Christmas list. Like all the other Hallmark dolls, Curly Locks is 8 inches high, stands alone, and you can mail her as a greeting card. Or you can send a whole treasure chest of Hallmark dolls. Curly Locks, Cinderella, 8 different Hallmark dolls, excitingly hidden away in a gorgeous treasure chest. And the whole gift of treasure chest with 8 different dolls costs only $3. With 16 dolls, only $5. Thrill all the youngsters on your Christmas list by giving a treasure chest of Hallmark dolls. Van Heflin Heflin can currently be seen opposite Lana Turner and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's production, Green Dolphin Street. In tonight's story, Mr. Heflin was supported by Will Geer in the role of Mr. Green. Why Keep Your Heart in Cold Storage was dramatized by Robert Sonadella and was based on the story by William L. Stidger as it appeared in the Reader's Digest, America's favorite magazine. The Hallmark program was directed by Mark Loeb with music especially composed by Jack Miller. This is Tom Shirley speaking for the makers of Hallmark greeting cards. Buy Hallmark dolls where you buy Hallmark cards. Remember, a Hallmark card will best express your perfect taste, your thoughtfulness.
And now this is your Hallmark host, Les Tremaine, saying goodnight to you all until next week at the same time. See you then.
The U.S. Marines are proud to announce their newest corps, the Citizens Marine Corps. Now young men 17 to 32 can join the Marines at new high pay, yet stay at home and keep their regular jobs. See a Marine recruiting officer now. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The WBBM Air Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
The breaking wave dashed high on a stern and rock-bound coast, and the woods against a stormy sky their giant branches tossed, and the heavy night hung dark the hills and waters o'er, when a band of exiles moored their bark on a wild New England shore.
You are listening to the voice of Agnes Moorehead reading The Landing of the Pilgrims by Felicia Hemans, a page from our special Thanksgiving Day edition of And Season, when we give thanks for the bounty of our table, the peace and comfort of our home. We'd like to open today's program with Lydia Maria Child's beloved Thanksgiving Day. Or perhaps you remember the poem from your school days by the more familiar opening lines, "Over the river and through the woods to grandfather's house we'll go." The poem has been expanded by Frank Kunkel for the special holiday recording you'll hear. The music is by Harry Simeon. And so, if you'll join us, Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians are waiting outside in the sleigh. Since those days, since the era of the sleigh, mittened hands, frost blue noses. Yesterday, the Thanksgiving Day dinner required weeks of preparation. Today, in this age of streamlined cookery, it's only a matter of minutes from the deep freeze to the dining room table. Many old Thanksgiving Day traditions have been stored away upstairs in the attic or between the pages of the family album. All the warm, casual little customs remembered only by the very old. Yes, much of the tradition of the holiday has been lost down through the years, but one story will never be forgotten. The story of the Pilgrims, who were the first to celebrate this happy holiday. We'd like to tell their story again for you today. The story of Thanksgiving. The Mayflower set sail from Southampton, England, on August 5th, 1609. She was a small, badly equipped vessel of 180 tons. There were 90 people aboard and 30 more aboard a smaller vessel, the Speedwell. The Speedwell, however, proved unseaworthy, and after twice putting back for repairs, 12 of her passengers were crowded into the Mayflower, which finally, on September 6th, turned her prow to the west and disappeared into the gray veils of a rain-washed dawn. For the men and women aboard that tiny vessel, it seemed that time stood still. The minutes, the hours, the days dissolved into the creak of the rigging, the constant slap of the waves against the sides of the Mayflower, the harsh sound of the wind. Time was the sick child lying with her head in her mother's lap. Time was a bowl of cold, unappetizing porridge. Time was a body sewed in a rough piece of canvas, slid down a pine plank into the darkness of the sea. It was 9 weeks later, on November 19th, before the nightmare ended, before land was sighted. 9 weeks of fear and anguish and suffering, of praying for a landing.
The breaking waves dashed high on a stern and rock-bound coast, and the woods against a stormy sky their giant branches tossed. And the heavy night hung dark the hills and waters o'er, when a band of exiles moored their bark on a wild New England shore. Not as the conqueror comes, they the true-hearted came. Not with the roll of stirring drums and the trumpets that sing of fame. Not as the flying come, in silence and in fear. They shook the depths of the desert's gloom with their hymns of lofty cheer. Amidst the storm they sang, and the stars heard, and the sea, and the sounding aisles of the dim woods rang to the anthem of the free. The ocean eagle soared from his nest by the white waves foam, and the rocking pines of the forest roared. This was their welcome home. There were men with hoary hair amidst that pilgrim band. Why had they come to wither there, away from their childhood's land? There was woman's fearless eye, lit by her deep love's truth. There was manhood's brow serenely high, and the fiery heart of youth. What thought they thus afar? Bright jewels of the mine, the wealth of seas, the spoils of war. They sought a faith's pure shrine. I call it holy ground, the soil where first they trod. They left unstained what there they found, freedom to worship God.
It was on Saturday, November 21st, that the Mayflower dropped anchor in what is now the harbor of Provincetown. A party was put ashore to explore the neighboring shore to search for a suitable place for the settlement. And on Monday, December 21st, Plymouth Harbor was selected. 4 months later, when the little colony had struggled through its first terrible winter, an Indian came into the hamlet and in broken English welcomed the strangers. He said his name was Samoset, that he came from Monhegan, 5 days' journey to the southeast, and that he was an envoy from the greatest commander in the country, a sachem named Massoit. Massoit himself appeared a few days later, and a treaty, offensive and defensive, was signed, which remained in force for 54 years. The Pilgrims set about planting their fields as soon as spring came, and the harvest proved a good one. Governor William Bradford, delighted by the success of the colony and the rich harvest, called a meeting of the elders to propose a festival. And now, said the governor, gazing abroad on the piled-up store of the sheaves that dotted the clearings and covered the meadows o'er, 'tis meet that we render praises because of this yield of grain. 'Tis meet that the Lord of the harvest be thanked for his sun and rain. And therefore, I, William Bradford, by the grace of God today and the franchise of this good people, Governor of Plymouth, say, through virtue of vested power, ye shall gather with one accord, and hold in the month of November thanksgiving unto the Lord. He hath granted us peace and plenty, and the quiet we've sought so long. He hath thwarted the wily savage, and kept him from wrack and wrong. And unto our feast the Sachem shall be bidden, that he may know we worship his own great Spirit, who maketh the harvests grow. So shoulder your matchlocks, masters, there is hunting of all degrees. And fishermen, take your tackle, and scour for spoil the seas. And maidens and dames of Plymouth, your delicate crafts employ to honor our first Thanksgiving, and make it a feast of joy. We fail of the fruits and dainties, we fail of the old home cheer. Ah, these are the lightest losses mayhap that befall us here. But see in our open clearings how golden the melons lie. Enrich them with sweets and spices, and give us the pumpkin pie. So bravely the preparations went on for the autumn feast. The deer and the bear were slaughtered. Wild game from the great to least was heaped in the colony cabins. Brown home brew served for wine, and the plum and the grape of the forest for orange and peach and pine. At length came the day appointed. The snow had begun to fall. But the clang from the meeting-house belfry rang merrily over all, and summoned the folk of Plymouth, who hastened with glad accord to listen to Elder Brewster as he fervently thanked the Lord. In his seat sat Governor Bradford, men, matrons, and maidens fair. Miles Standish and all his soldiers with corselet and sword were there. And sobbing and tears and gladness had each in its turn the sway, for the grave of sweet Rose Standish o'ershadowed Thanksgiving Day. And when Massasoit the Sachem sat down with his 100 braves, and ate of the varied riches of gardens and woods and waves, and looked on the granaried harvest, with a blow on his brawny chest he muttered, "The good Great Spirit loves his white children best." The Landing of the Pilgrim Fathers, read by the distinguished Hollywood star, Miss Agnes Moorehead, and the poem, The First Thanksgiving, by Margaret Junkin Preston. The earliest poetry came to America with the Pilgrims as the Ainsworth Psalter. Henry Ainsworth, a member of the Pilgrim sect, fled from England to Amsterdam in 1593. A learned biblical scholar and teacher, he translated the Psalms from the Hebrew and then turned his translations into verse form, which he set to music. This work, called the Book of Psalms, became known as the Ainsworth Psalter and served as the religious music of the Pilgrims for many, many years. The Pilgrims sang in unison and without accompaniment. They believed, as did John Calvin, that the sole purpose of sacred music was the worship of God, and that organ music was a distraction from the prime purpose. From the Ainsworth Psalter, we'll hear 3 psalms for the Thanksgiving season. Psalm 23, Jehovah feedeth me, I do not lack. Psalm 34, In all time bless the Lord. And Psalm 100, Show to Jehovah all the earth. They will be sung by the New England Conservatory Alumni Chorus, conducted by Lorna Cook de Varon. James Pease, baritone soloist.
Jehovah feedeth me, I shall not lack. In crafty bounty down doth make me lie. He gently leads me quiet waters by. He doth return my soul for his name's sake. In paths of justice leads me quietly. Yea, though I walk in vale of deadly shade, I'll build a hill with me thou wilt be. Thy rod, thy staff, they shall comfort me. For me a table thou hast ready made. In their presence that my distresses be. Thou makest fast my soul shall in the Lord glory. The meek shall hear and joy shall say, oh, magnify the Lord with me. His name together extol we. Lions are continually stand, and they do hunger greedy be. But any good shall they not want, that seekers of Jehovah be. Come, children, unto me, give ear. I will you learn Jehovah's fear. Who is the man that life doth will? Who is the man that life doth will? That loveth days good for to see. That loveth days good for to see. Refraining keep thy tongues from ill. Refraining keep thy tongues from ill. Thy lips from speaking fallacy. Thy lips from speaking fallacy. Do good and evil quietest too. Do good and evil quietest too. Seek peace and laughter if pursue. Seek peace and laughter if pursue. The Lord thy student just is near. Attend he come to their outcry. The Lord's beneficence he will do, to raise on earth their memory. They cried and hear Jehovah did, and them from all their troubles rid. Shout to Jehovah all the earth, serve ye Jehovah with gladness, before him come with singing mirth. Know that Jehovah is God is. If he had made us not weak, his host and sheep forgive him. Oh, with confession enter ye. His gate, his courtyard with praising. Confess to him that he is name. Because Jehovah is good is. His mercy ever is the same. And his faith unto all ages.
And so, Anthology number 38, dated Sunday, November 21st. Next week, Poetry and the Dance. Our guest will be Walter Sorrell of Dance Magazine. And as an added highlight, we'll present Mr. Sorrell's original verse narrative, Isadora Duncan, starring Miss Sidney Smith. Anthology is brought to you by WRCA, in cooperation with the Poetry Center of the YM and YWHA, 92nd Street and Lexington Avenue in Manhattan. John Malcolm Brennan, director. Next Sunday, at the Teresa L. Kaufman Auditorium, the Poetry Center will present E. Cummings, the indomitable enfant terrible of American poetry, reading from his prose and poetry. Remember the date, Sunday, November 28th. E. Cummings at the Poetry Center. Anthology is produced by Steve White, written and directed for WRCA by Draper Lewis. Until next Sunday, This is Fleetwood wishing you good luck and good reading.